I don't know if that worked. Uh, uh, I don't know. That was an experiment. More experimentation at the top of the show today. If anyone is joining fresh up top, was it just a black screen?
It just says upcoming.
I hate how it's so friggin' slow. Because it doesn't show anything on my screen when I go live, which is annoying.
Right now, I don't know if it's a my tablet thing or a YouTube thing. It's just doing the spinny loady thing.
Hold on. Oh no, it says we're live, but I don't know if it played the. I guess I'm just gonna have to watch the playback later to find out if it worked because
Right now, I don't know if it's a my tablet thing or a YouTube thing. It's just doing the spinny loady. Well, we're live either way. I don't know if it played
Oh,
that.
oh, that's annoying. Okay, well, that's gonna be after thing I work on. Anyway, let's. I guess we'll do the thing from scratch. This part. Sorry, shut up, me. Let's start this again. The intro. This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Media Podcast. Go to aratemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from all our great friends, as well as if you want to learn how to start your own podcast, they'll help you out. That's aratemedia.org. On with the show, Jordan.
With the show, Justin.
All right. Welcome once again to a new episode of the Spur of the Moment podcast. I, as always, am your host, Justin, and I am joined by my co host. It's the incomparable Jordan, everybody.
Howdy, howdy. I'm
How,
incomparable.
he is incomparable. No one can compare to him. Today's episode is once again brought to you by Trophy Smack. We apologize. We realized we maybe messed the name up at the end of the last episode. Brought to you by Trophy Smack. We're going to talk more about them later in the show. But as always,
Yep.
I should say, coming up in the show, we're talking news. It's going to be to borrow a phrase from one of my favorite podcasts, real trailers ahoy, because we're going to be talking about some trailers. So that was a real Donald Trump. Sorry.
We're dancing. You
For
can't see us dancing,
for
but
all
we're
our
dancing.
audio listeners that couldn't see that I was doing a real milking the cow Donald Trump dance. He's always milking two cows. That's a purely visual joke. Sorry. Today's show we're talking trailers. It's trailers ahoy. We're gonna be talking about all kinds of different new stuff. Lindsay Lohan's dad thinks maybe she should have won an Oscar for The Parent Trap. That's a fun thing we're gonna talk about. And then later in the show, we're gonna be doing
Okay.
some book reports. We've each picked an actor. We're going to talk about their filmography as a whole, about them as performers, about their evolution as performers. We're going to get into them generally. We got some specific movies to talk about. Sneak peek, I'm going to be complaining about Jack and Jill. I hate that movie so much. I'm just giving it away up top. But in the meantime, we're starting with the news. Okay.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. It's the
While
news.
I open up Chrome because I did. Because oh
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
yeah.
I can't stop forever, Justin.
Okay. Sonic 3, Sonic the Movie 3, more Sonic the Movie 3. Basically just a confirmation. Remember the girl who we were like, she looks like she's Maria?
Yeah,
She's Maria.
she's Maria.
She's Maria. So
I mean,
that
that makes sense.
yeah,
You don't usually get Shadow without also getting Maria.
right?
They're
And look,
kind of they're kind of a package deal.
I guess I might as well just lump in my I mean that begs the question, I guess. Sorry, I should ask first. How much Maria do you think we're going to get? Like they
Oh,
announced it like she's full bore in a costume. They announced it like she was completely covered, so you couldn't even see her, and all you could see was just a chair that said Maria. So like
that's funny.
they're going for her. Like it's gonna look like her visually. Like if I had to guess.
I mean, if they're doing Shadow, I mean, if they're basically just doing Sonic Adventure 2, I think you'll basically get the scene where he's in the like they're in the Ark and she sends him down, and then the soldiers show up. Like I think we'll pretty much just get that
But the
scene
question is
shot for shot.
how dark do you think they're gonna? I think they'll up the darkness. Personally, I think they're gonna do a like we want to traumatize some kids. Like these movies have been lighthearted up until this point. Let's like because it sort of sounds like that they really are gonna lean into to the fact that he's a dark character and this is our sophomore film. So now we're serious.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they're. I mean, they already have the Knuckles show, which is coming up. So if they're setting him up so he can be his own thing and have his own gritty backstory show where they go more into detail about it all, and that's why they've cast her as
Oh,
Maria, is
that would be
because
cool.
they they've got the whole 10-year plan where they know they're gonna have the Shadow show, and it'll be a like a prequel, and she'll be like an actual character
I
in
I
it,
didn't
and
even think about. I mean, not maybe not even show, but certainly. I mean, somebody made that Shadow the Hedgehog fan film, which is in the same style as the movie, and it's like, yeah, people love that. So yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
they're talking, doing. I think I may have saw something floating about that, but when it comes to Twitter and rumors, till I see it
It's
on,
just it,
until I see it a
it
few
wouldn't.
times, I don't. I take it with a grain of salt.
I wouldn't be shocked. Is
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Well, especially because of the people's how much they love um how much they responded to, I should say, this Knuckles show. People were really excited for them. I mean, we were excited for it, even though it basically
I
just looks like
mean,
it's the first movie.
yeah, but I like the first movie.
It's a
Uh,
nondescript brown-haired white guy in a car with a CGI animal character. So I saw someone on Twitter post of like a comparison, and yeah, it's the same. It's
like I
exactly the
bet.
same. It's
See,
wild how it's exactly the same.
I don't see that as a negative. People are saying that like it's a negative. I like the first movie,
Yeah, but the first movie was an
and
hour and a half. This
and
is
I
presumably
and I
6 episodes long.
and I like Knuckles.
I mean, yeah, I definitely see. I like this universe. I like these characters. Like I said, Sonic and Tails are only in that first episode. All of that footage that's in that trailer, for the most part, is from the first episode. I guarantee
Oh,
you.
they're in the first episode and maybe the last episode.
Maybe the last episode. It'd be interesting to see if this is their way of shuffling Knuckles out. So like they don't have to worry about having an additional CGI character in the third one. So they could just shuffle them on out. Not have to get Idris Elba to come back.
Maybe, or I mean,
That's why he's not
honestly,
there.
I mean, quite frankly, it's at the point where in the next one he could just be in a scene or two.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
he doesn't need to. He's not the focus of it.
And so that leads to my other bit of Sonic news. We talked, I think, previously about how they're adding Shadow to Sonic Generations, and we're like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Um,
the re-release or whatever.
yeah, they've announced that they're doing the Sonic Superstars game. They're doing Shadow DLC, so he's going to be a character in there as well. So that leads me to my next point, which is with Sonic 3 coming out next year. This is clearly the year of Shadow. You know, we had the year of Luigi.
Um,
Wait, hold on. Let me finish my
I
point. Let me finish my point, real quick. This is the year. This is the okay. This is the year of Shadow. You know, in the way that we had the year of Luigi. This is the moment. This is the time. Shadow the Hedgehog remake.
I'll get to that in a
Full
second. I want to
full
just
3D and in the
I
same engine as Sonic Frontiers,
I
Shadow the Hedgehog remake.
I just
But
want to backtrack for a second to the Sonic All Stars thing. I hadn't heard that Shadow was going to be in it. I had heard that there was going to be a Shadow costume for Sonic to be wearing.
oh, I don't know. All it says is just I didn't. Oh no, it
That's
is. It
that's
is. Oh no, you're right. It is. It does say, yeah, free Shadow the Hedgehog DLC costume. I didn't actually read the article. I just
yeah,
saw the headline.
yeah.
This is why you always
So
read the
so
articles, folks.
so I wanted to just backtrack to that because that's what I had heard,
Yeah, okay. It's
which I think
free, which is pretty cool.
which I think is funny.
Yeah.
But
Is it-
because I guarantee you the Sonic fans are going to be like, this isn't what we want. We wanted like actually Shadow,
Yeah.
not
Oh
Sonic
yeah.
wearing a Shadow
Yeah, I mean,
costume.
they're different characters. They play differently. They've kind of made the point. Sonic in his Shadow costume is not the same thing as Shadow. He's just not.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, yeah.
no. So sorry. Remake of Shadow. I mean, I considering it looks like you're gonna get some of the levels from his game in this Sonic
Yeah.
Generation thing. It definitely
Sorry.
it
Hold on.
gives it.
For the gram, let's do this one more time. So, being that we have all this Shadow DLC, Shadow's coming out in Sonic 3. All right. This is the year of Shadow. Shadow the Hedgehog remake.
Uh, I definitely think with this being the year of Shadow, and them doing this Sonic Generations thing, where I guarantee you're gonna get at least like the more iconic levels from the Shadow the Hedgehog
Oh
game.
yeah.
it certainly to me feels like they're testing the waters to see what the reaction to that would be, to see if they could
But
re-release it.
I'm all for like remake a ton of Sonic games and put them in the Sonic Frontiers engine, because the Sonic Frontiers engine is the best engine they've had since Sonic Adventure. Um, but like remake Sonic, there's a really good Sonic '06 remake on I think it's for PC, and it's modded, but it like fixes all the glitches, and it basically makes that game good. And apparently it's like really good. So that's where I'm like, do a remake the bad ones, like and
I mean, especially with Sonic '06, that one, it, its glares are so glaring that it would not be hard to go through and fix them, because you can see all the most obvious things that you need to fix.
exactly.
Like, there's certain Sonic games where it's like they're not that bad, so a re-release isn't that noticeable. But like, yeah, Sonic '06, you could definitely.
Also,
I would love if they would instead of maybe re-releasing Sonic '06 as it is, put out the version that you always intended to put out.
yeah, that would be rad. That would be rad.
Like, do that.
But I'm not talking and I'm not talking like a for
And and and
Shadow,
and,
and
and
I'm
I would do it in 2026 so that you could market it as it's Sonic like
that would be
26.
fun. But like I wouldn't do again for both these, for Shadow and this, full bore remake. Like none of this HD re-release shit. Full
No, yeah,
bore
yeah.
remake. Like
You have to full bore
yeah,
remake that
and
one.
like I don't know. I'm sort of torn. Like kind of keep it as is, or maybe add some like conversational RPG elements to Shadow the Hedgehog that influences the moral system. Like upgrade the moral system perhaps, or like
I mean, there's a lot you could
but
do with
like
that game
more lean in,
yeah,
more guns, more vehicles, more weapons. Like
more over the top.
he curses more. Make it, screw it. Make it M-rated. Who cares? Make it bloody. Like go all in on this, and like yeah,
I
Shadow
mean,
the Hedgehog
yeah.
remake. Make it happen, Sega.
I would be more excited if in 2026 they did Sonic 2026, and it was like the version of '06 that we were
Yeah,
always meant to
but I
get.
mean, it's the year of
Like
Shadow, Jordan.
full
It's
remake.
the year of Shadow, so we gotta do that. We're gonna announce the
Well,
Shadow the
he's
Hedgehog.
a big part of that game with the whole Mephilopheles and all that, and like he has his own story portions in that.
Yeah, still, Shadow the Hedgehog re-release, remake, not re-release. Oh yes, let's talk about the Fantastic Four. Um.
Which they did with a Valentine's thing, which is weird.
Oh, hold on. Oh no, this is the second part to it. Hold on. This is the fun
The
about
only
part.
one
There it
of
is.
the only one of them that I recognized was Pedro Pascal.
No, I meant to look up the other two. The other two, the one of them, he's in stuff you haven't seen. I don't know about the girl. Joseph Quinn is Chrissy, wake up. That guy.
Okay,
On
sure.
Stranger Things.
Okay.
He's Eddie on Stranger Things. That was him.
Oh, the rock star dude.
Yeah, him. I
The
don't mind
guy
him.
who the guy who dies shortly after playing the electric guitar.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I like him, and I don't mind him as Johnny Storm. It's not my ideal casting, because I wanted him young. I wanted him Tom Holland's age. But also they could theoretically like age up Tom Holland's. I guess by the time he comes back, they'll roughly be the same age. But I was thinking like a bit younger-ish. He's a bit old for me, and I don't like Pedro Pascal. I'm open to having my mind changed, but I don't like it. The other two, the one neat thing is the guy playing Ben Grimm is actually Jewish, which is kind of neat. Ben
I
Grimm.
still think he I I still think he should have been cast by a black actor.
Yeah, well, there was at one point, David Diggs was up for him, because everyone was up for him at one point. And I like that one because he was both black and Jewish, because Ben Grimm in the comics, he's Jewish.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Huh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
he's never been played like very famously Jewish. And the big thing everyone wanted was that he be played by a Jew. So he's being played by a Jew now. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat.
Honestly, when it comes to the Fantastic Four, I don't really have a dream cast that I would want for them. The only one that I
No, me
maintain, and
either.
I will say this to my dying day, is I wanted at least one movie with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
I mean, he's coming back. There's no way he's not.
I
They're
stand
gonna. One of the
I
rumors
stand by
at
what I
one
said.
point. One of the rumors at
I
one
mean,
point.
I eventually would like it if they did, if they're going to keep doing these. What I would like them to do eventually is have in one of the Fantastic Four movies, they have the Council of Reeds,
Well,
and you have a
that's
few different people play Reed
yeah.
Richards.
That was the theory. That was the theory that's what was happening in this one was they were gonna instead of because in one of the versions and they kind of borrowed that for Fan Four Stick, but in the Ultimate version instead of going to space to get their powers, they go to the negative zone. And that's kind of what they used for the Fan Four Stick, but not really. So the one of the rumors was they were going to be instead of going to space, they were going to be multiversal travelers. Um,
Oh, interesting.
and yeah, and so the rumor was that in some iteration, some variation, it was going to have the Council of Reeds. And it was going to be John Krasinski, and it was going to be I don't want to butcher Ian Griffith or the guy from the 2000s one.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was going to be him as well, and they were going to do the Council of Reeds
So
or a
that'd be fun.
variation of the Council of Reeds. Um, but
I could be down for that.
I think I saw the article and I didn't get a chance to read it, and also apparently it's going to be taking place in the 1960s. That was kind of Doctor Strange makes reference to it where he's like, "Didn't you try it in the 1960s?" And then the poster they announced it with was kind of had a 1960s kind of aesthetic to it. So a lot of people think that means it's going to take place in the 1960s.
I don't know how I feel about that.
And
How do they
apparently,
how do they get to the modern age?
well, I think part of it is that they're from another universe. Like the idea is going to remain that they're not from the regular Marvel universe. But they're
Hmm.
apparently going to fight Galactus. Apparently,
Well, that's a pretty big first guy to fight.
yeah. But man, as long as it's a big stupid guy in a purple hat, don't care.
I mean, yeah, as long as it's not a cloud like it was last. It was a cloud last
Yeah, it
time,
was
right?
absolutely a cloud last time. Yeah,
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that again.
and everyone's like,
Let's just have him be a big guy.
everyone's like, oh no, I want Doctor Doom. I want Doctor Doom. Yeah, but we did 2 movies of three movies of Doctor Doom. If you want to count whatever Fan Four Stick is as Doctor Doom. But we've done Doctor Doom. We've seen Doctor Doom. Not that I don't want Doctor Doom to come, but I'd much rather them take a stab at like a. And Marvel has shown that they're willing to at least take a crack at the big guy. Like it's gonna be a big guy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big CGI guy, and I'm in for that. Like, well,
Um,
they're casting an actor as him. I tell you who it is, but you wouldn't care or know. So
the only reason I would want it to be Doctor Doom is because I want Doctor Doom to be a part of the MCU. I
yeah,
absolutely want that. I want to have him be the big like fuck the current one that they're trying to set up. I want it to be Doctor Doom.
yeah, I know.
I would rather it be Doctor Doom. I love Doctor Doom. I settle for Fantastic Four. I love Doctor Doom.
Yeah, but I think it's too late in the
I will
game to just.
I will take the Fantastic Four if it means I get Doctor Doom.
I'm
That's how I feel about them.
I'm like I don't know. I'm like it's too late. It's too late to pivot. If you want to make him the next guy that they fight, sure, fine, whatever. But now, no, it's too late. All these people
I,
are like pivot. I'm like, no, it's too late. It's too late to
it
pivot.
is. You're
It's too
right. It
late.
is too late.
It's way
I'm
too
just
late.
saying that's what I would have preferred.
And anyone who's pretending it's not too late is naive. It's too late in the
It's
story to.
absolutely too late.
We're like in the second
They
act
had
basically.
like they had him in Loki. They had him in different
Yeah.
movies.
It would
Like
be
they
weird if he wasn't the guy. Now, if you want to
yeah.
pivot and be like it's a different, like when they were like, oh, there was one point where they're like, oh, they're gonna pivot, they're gonna recast, they're gonna pivot, and they're gonna say that he basically turned into the Beyonder, and they're gonna call him the Beyonder, and they're not gonna call him Kang, but the implication is gonna be that he is Kang. Okay, I'm cool with that, but no, don't be like it was Doctor Doom the whole time. I would hate that.
Yeah.
So moving along, Christopher Nolan really wants to make a horror movie, and I'm like, let him.
Okay. I don't know. Sure.
I want
Why
him.
not?
I want him to make a. I want Christopher Nolan to make a really not a. I want him to make a basic concept for a horror movie complicated. So like, I want him to do like a slasher film, like a pastiche of an '80s slasher film, but like Christopher Nolan it the fuck up. Add twists, make it confusing as balls, make it where like, is it a dream the whole time or whatever? Get wild with it. But like, yeah, let him do a horror movie. Don't be like, oh, it's like a thriller and it's low. No, I want like him to do a slasher movie, like something gnarly and gross and disgusting.
Sure, I'm down. Why not?
Because he did thrillers, man. He did Insomnia, one of the ones you didn't watch for your thing. But he did, that's a thriller about a serial killer. It's good, but it's like, no, I want like a slasher movie. I want Christopher Nolan to do a slasher movie. It'd be so much fun.
I mean, I'm down. Fuck it. Why not?
Oh yes. Apparently there is a Mandalorian video game in the works. It's going to be a first person shooter by the looks of it. Which
Okay.
I don't.
So like, is it just following the events of the show?
According to this, it says that it won't be open world and will instead feature more linear stages across different planets. So yeah, kind of by the sounds of it. It sounds like you're just following. It's just a side story, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What's it for?
It doesn't say. It just says it's in development.
Huh. All right. Sure. Why not?
I know. I'm like, all right. Okay, that's neat.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other about that one.
Yeah, I just like kind of like, what's the point? That's kind of my thing. Like, I don't know.
I mean, unless it's its own separate story, which is just for the game.
Because
like if it's just following the beats of the show, it's like, well, then I could just go watch the show.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I guess the appeal of it maybe is that it's first person. But if it's like, oh, you're just the Mandalorian and he's a bounty hunter, they already have a much better sounding and looking bounty hunter game coming out.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, I kind of fell off with the Mandalorian. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a game just wall to wall of, hey, it's a thing you recognize, like?
Well, I mean, isn't that most Star Wars games?
Yeah, I guess, but that bounty hunter one doesn't really look like it is. Like, that one looks interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for that one.
When
does that one come out again?
Not for a while, I don't think. I think that was an early trailer. Still though, yeah,
still excited.
That one looks way more interesting to me than yeah, it looks way more interesting to me than I don't know.
Than just doing the Mandalorian. Yeah.
I mean, if you're, I mean, hey, is your pitch going to be the Mandalorian is actually in this one? Like,
I mean, I would be just perfectly content playing the other bounty hunter game and having the Mandalorian costume just be like a thing you can unlock.
Right. And when it comes to Star Wars, I'm always more interested in it when it's in third person. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, me too. For me, I don't mind it if it's in first, if it's the right one. But usually, just gameplay wise in general, I prefer third person. That's kind of why I fell off a little bit with that. With the RoboCop game, is because I'm not a big first person shooter person.
Yeah, I think I'm right at the end of that, and I think I got stuck, or I kept dying, and I was like, oh, I just haven't been in the right. Honestly, the game that I've been playing a ton right now, it's been super therapeutic, is that power washing game. Like,
it's weirdly addicting.
So it's like, just to sit there and like, you don't think about anything. You're just power washing at the side of a building. It's just like, turn your brain off. Don't think
without having to get wet.
Yeah, don't think about your problems, and it's just like, yeah, it's weirdly therapeutic. It honestly is. So it's okay. So James Cameron has denied that there is a 9-hour Avatar 3 cut. He said, "quote I would put a shotgun in my mouth." And then he clarified. He said, "No, it's not that the one movie is 9 hours. It's that all of the movies collectively are 9 hours. So they're 3 hours each. As if that's not psychopathic as well."
I can't, man. Those will have to be at home. I can't do 3 hours in a movie theater anymore.
I checked the phone a lot in the last one. I don't even really remember it all that well. I know I watched it. To be fair, I was, but I don't remember much of it. And I never had an interest in going back. It's too long.
It's not really. It was a tech demo in an age that's long since passed.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It just wasn't engaging enough for me to like. Do I want to watch two guys to take a really long time to kill what is essentially a whale? No, I don't
I'm good.
really. I'm okay.
Or do I want to watch Jake Sully become the Avatar? And by the Avatar, I mean Aang from the Last Airbender,
I
as he goes to each of the different tribes and learns from them.
Jordan, are you referring to the fact that the next one's gonna have evil Navi who are of the Fire Nation?
Yes, yes, that is exactly
Or
what I'm talking
or
about.
are you just learning this information as I've said it to you?
No, I remember from watching these that there was like he went to this. The point of this one was he went to the water one.
Yep. And then after it came out,
And
James
then
Cameron.
like James Cameron said that he was going to go to like each of the
Yep.
elements and learn.
He
And so
said
I'm like,
he
so
said
so
Avatar three.
he's literally going to be the
Yeah,
Avatar.
he said the next one, the Avatar, yeah, is gonna have evil Navi and they're gonna be fire guys.
So
It's
he's
literally
just
Avatar.
it's
Looks.
just the last Airbender.
Um. They're apparently they're remaking Bewitched, which is like
Uh, okay.
I'm okay with
Do
that.
do do kids nowadays even know what that is?
No, but I think I'm at that
Do
I'm
I
at
do
I don't
do
think
I
I
know what that is?
yeah, it's the one where it's the guy he marries a witch.
Oh yeah, and she does the nose thing.
Yes, I believe she does the nose thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I like that show, and there's a quite a decent movie of it with at least I remember it being okay with Will Ferrell, where it's like it's a meta movie where it's about
Aren't they
their
remaking the show?
yes, they're remaking the show, and he's playing Darren, and they're trying to find a
Uh,
witch, and they happen to hire a real witch played by Nicole
Yeah,
Kidman.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's apparently
I
it's quite
I
good.
I I think I've watched that. I definitely have vague memories of that one.
I've seen it at least once, at least parts of it at least once. Um, I don't know. I'm like yeah, let's bring back. Uh, I know people are so tired of reboots, but I'm always if they're interesting or a remix, I guess. If they're interesting, I'm into them. So I'm kind of like yeah, you know what? Let's bring back I Dream of Jeannie. No, really, I really want to see them redo Gilligan's Island. Take a crack. Let's take a crack. Let's do a modern day version, modern day like single camera sitcom version of like like a Young Sheldon, like one of those. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no studio audience. Do Gilligan's Island. Not don't do that mistake I made where I thought it was good, where you take a sitcom and you make it serious. Remember when they tried to do that? They tried to take Fresh Prince of Bel Air and make it serious, and it's apparently terrible.
Yeah, I always thought that was a weird one, but yeah.
I thought it was clever and funny, but I saw a couple clips from it and it didn't look very good, and then all the reviewed very poorly. I hear it's not very good. Um, what is next? Oh yes, trailers ahoy. Let's start with the one where let's go from least amount of stuff to talk about to most. And I don't even know if you saw this, but did you see the new? Well, we can lump them together, I guess. But did you see the new Planet of the Apes trailer?
No, but I'm aware that that's a movie that's coming.
It's basically like the apes talk now, and the plot of it just kind of looks like because this is a more story driven trailer. It's the first Planet of the Apes movie, but now Charlton Heston is a monkey.
I was gonna say I seem to remember hearing about how this finally links things up between the modern ones and the old
More or
ones,
less.
basically.
It's like yeah, now it's like what it was like in the original ones. The apes rule. There's a new king ape, and there's like a young ape who I'm guessing the twist is I don't know if they've said it yet, but the twist kind of seems like he's gonna be Caesar's descendant. Um,
Probably.
supposedly it's like 100. I think it's like 100 years after the last one, something like that. And now yeah, now it's like all the humans don't talk, and they're like they were in the first Planet of the Apes movie. And it's about this one ape, and he finds a girl that he like needs to protect. And he's fighting the king basically, and just kind of looks the trailer just kind of makes it look like it's the original Planet of the Apes, but now the Charlton Heston character is a monkey now.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad.
Okay.
It still looks good. Like there's some cool looking action sequences. The ape on ape action looks. I mean, it looks fun. I like those movies. Um,
Yeah.
and I've always
Yeah.
wanted to see them connect to the original. So it'd be kind of neat if this, because apparently it's a new trilogy they're doing. So it'd be kind of neat to see if it eventually leads to them just doing a full bore remake of the original. That'd be kind of fun.
That
That'd be neat.
that'd be kind of
But
neat.
I don't know if that would work though, because that one kind of hinges on you not knowing that it's Earth. That's kind of a big twist in that movie. But still, it'd be kind of neat. Um, So next trailer. Oh, well, lump that with. Did you see the second trailer for King Kong versus Godzilla. King Kong X Godzilla. The
No,
tagline
big no.
being they don't have to get along or like each other. They just have to work together. And it looks pretty cool. You get to see some more stuff with Scar King. He's got a because you know how Godzilla had an axe in the last one. Now he has
Yeah,
Scar King has a sword that turn you. It's basically Soul Calibur.
yeah, yeah.
It's basically Ivy
Oh, whip sword,
whip sword. Yeah, he's got like a whip
like
sword, chain sword.
chain
Yeah,
sword or whip sword or whatever.
yeah, he's got one of those, and it's pretty cool.
Neat.
Yeah, and then Kong gets a Mega Man gun that he can shoot at people. It's also pretty cool. Um, and you
He's
kind of get
oh,
to see the actual bad guy, which is the thing that both Kong and Godzilla are afraid of. It's like a big thing. Yeah, I don't know what they didn't say its name.
a big
Well,
thing.
I was gonna say
Boy, boy, that does that point a mental
a
image.
big
Paint a
Godzilla,
mental
a
image.
big Godzilla looking thing.
All right. A kaiju.
Kaiju, yeah. Bigger than Godzilla and Kong, like way bigger, like massive.
Right, right,
Um,
right. The new apex predator.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. They're the thing that basically they fought off. They do this thing where they're like Godzilla and his kind decided that they would protect nature, and then the apes and their kind decided that they would protect humanity, and they fought together to beat this big bad thing, and now this big bad thing is shown up, and they need to beat it. Extinction level
I
kind of
mean,
stuff.
I'm always down for a Godzilla movie.
I
You
think
didn't have you don't have to sell me on this, man. We're gonna be watching this
I
one.
mean, we absolutely are. Hopefully in theaters this time because we didn't get to see the last one in theaters because of
That would be nice.
the big C. And then so the next is the X-Men 97 trailer, which
I have one problem with that trailer. I love the trailer. It's a great trailer. It made me excited and nostalgic, but I do have one problem with that trailer. Do you know what my problem with that trailer is, Justin? Let's see how much of a comic book nerd you are.
oh, is it the Gambit charging up Wolverine's claws?
It was absolutely the Gambit charging up. He turned that man into a bomb. In the comics, that was a threat that he used against him. Is it basically if you don't fuck? At one point, he's like, if you don't fuck off, basically, I'm gonna charge you up and explode you from the inside, fucking out. So for him to do that in there, he just turned him into a bomb.
Yeah, I saw
That's how
someone
his powers work.
I saw someone point out though that he can like control the amount of energy he puts into it, so it's like it won't explode because he uses something else. Like
I don't think that's
I saw
true.
some people do, but yeah, it's a cool fucking image though.
Oh, it looks dope,
It's a
but
badass fucking image.
it was just the first thing that popped into my mind is, oh, so Logan's dead.
My, okay. My main thing with it is it looks like it's trying too hard to look cheap. It spent a great amount of. The thing about the original X-Men show is it's cheap and old and dated, and they cut corners in order to save the budget, and it led to a lot of hilarious moments. This looks like it's trying to recapture that, but it looks too expensive. Like it looks like it's trying too hard to look like the original show. That's my one thing about it. Like, yeah, man, it looks cool.
I
And I'm
mean,
excited. It also made me realize that clearly I've never seen the ending of that show, of the original,
oh
because I
yeah, no,
had
I don't think I have
no clue
either.
that Professor X died.
No,
Didn't
me
have a
neither.
clue. No clue. I was like, oh, he died at the end
I
of that
mean,
series. All right.
I mean, unless he didn't, and it ended on a cliffhanger or something, and that was them filling in the blank.
Maybe honestly don't know.
I have no idea.
I
I don't remember
I
the ending of
only
it.
I only really remember watching it. I have a memory of it ending on a cliffhanger, but I only really remember watching it up until the point where they went to space and had the Dark Phoenix, and then I don't remember it after that.
I mean, to be fair, with the way that cable television worked back then,
Yeah, true.
it wasn't like you could just sit down and watch them all in one sitting.
Yeah, that's true. Like the only one I really remember with any sort of vividness is the Days of Future Past. That
Yeah,
arc. Yeah.
yeah.
That was kind of the era where shows started like kids shows were like, hey, we can have some depth and we can maybe do like a 4 or 5 episode story arc that goes on, and kids will tune in each week to see how this story arc concludes, and like that's where
Absolutely.
I mean X-Men leads obviously to Spider-Man, which that was a rumor that floated around. That's been floating around that they're talking about doing Spider-Man, bringing back the animated series, and I'm like, yeah, duh.
God, I would love that, man. That
Yeah,
would be awesome.
yeah, well, duh. But my question for that was, and I posed this question on TikTok, was what does it become? Is it, do they just do the final season they were gonna do, which was he winds up in like Victorian era London looking for Mary Jane, and Carnage is Jack the Ripper? Yes, that was what that's what was gonna happen. Or I saw someone say, do you just, he's in the multiverse? Do you just tie it into, do a new thing and tie it into Spider Verse, or you just like clean cut those last few episodes, that last episode didn't end that way, and he's just Spider-Man doing regular Spider-Man stuff again?
I mean, you want my what I want? What I want is both. I want it to go him to go to Victoria and do that whole thing and have that be that for like that first season, and then at the end of that season, have it be where Spider-Man 29 or one of them shows up and is like, so you're messing around in a place that you're not supposed to be. Let me introduce you to the Spider Society.
I
And then from that point on, have it be about his misadventures in the Spider
Yeah,
Society.
I don't want that. I don't want them
I
to do the Victorian era. No, I would love the Spider Verse stuff. I'm good either way. Clean cut. They don't reference the finding Mary Jane. Mary Jane's just there. That didn't
I
happen.
could be down for that,
Clean
but
cut. I'm good with that.
I just think it would be funny if we put that in.
I don't want him going to Victorian London. That sounded silly, and no,
That's exactly why I want it because it
no,
sounds silly.
I'm okay.
But honestly, I'd be okay if they
But no,
cut
as soon
that
as they said X-Men '97, it was like, yeah, they put this out specifically to gauge interest to bring back the Spider-Man the animated series. There's no way they did. So when I heard that rumor, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and yeah, I thought I still maintain, and that segues nicely into talking about Deadpool 3, because I still maintain that the Wolverine that's going to show up in there is a variant of the '97. Well, it's weird because they've made it sound like, I saw some things that made it sound like X-Men '97 isn't gonna actually be
connected.
connected to the original animated series. It's gonna be its own universe. And so that's where I'm like, I think that the Wolverine in Deadpool 3 is from the animated series, or he's a variant of the one from the animated series. I still maintain that. I still think that's
So
gonna be
then
true.
that makes me wonder. Do you think that Deadpool will show up in that '97 show?
I don't know. I don't
And,
know.
and and a further posit, if he does, do you think he'll be voiced by Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, if he does, he would be. Yes, I think so. But I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible.
Because that would be dope.
So let's talk about this trailer. This trailer that was, honestly, I again, I made this joke on TikTok, but I said I was adequately teased, and I saw all these people bitching because they were like, everyone. It's so funny how like people do nothing but bitch and moan on the internet about how trailers give away too much. Trailers don't give away too much, and then the second you get a trailer that Wolverine doesn't just show up in the end, and like that actually teases you, like, and doesn't give away anything, like, oh, it didn't show enough, it's a bad trailer. No, this was a good trailer.
Oh, this was the perfect trailer.
It gives away just the correct amount of what is going to happen in this movie. And yes, the story trailer and the trailers with the money shot of Wolverine being like, "Ah, I'm Wolverine," is coming. Like, that's obviously coming, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's no way it's not.
yeah, like, be patient. Like, that's coming. But it was just nice to
Got
not.
you. You gotta tease him to please him. Come
Exactly.
on, guys.
Exactly. Like, I'm just, this was like, this is when, yeah, don't you worry, he's still making jokes about getting pegged. Like, this is still gonna be Deadpool. Like, there's no worries here, and it looks good. I mean, when I saw Adam Project, there's
Oh
that
yeah.
little bit. There's a little bit where he's fighting with the lightsabers, and the action is so clean, and the camera angles are like 360, and it's so clean looking. I was like, when they announced, I watched that movie like shortly before they announced that he was doing Deadpool 3, and I was like, this guy's action is so clean, it's so good looking. Like that shot, we didn't talk about individual shots when we did our initial Gaga over it, but that shot where he's loading the gun is fucking great looking. And if like the half the action sequences look that good, like, oh my
Oh, I'm
gosh,
stoked,
like
man.
it's gonna
I'm
be.
stoked for this.
This looks like it got the budget. It looks like it got the budget that the second one deserved. Um,
Absolutely.
but
I love the one scene where he's in the world that's definitely going to be like it's the end of time world
yeah, yeah,
Loki went to, and you've got the fox symbol in the background.
that's great. So
But oh,
someone
Oh, well,
someone pointed out that someone thinks there was a theory that there's gonna be a Hulk Wolverine fight because there's a moment um, where when he goes wait, where everyone has pointed out that it looks just like the opening sequence, where the opening sequence of Avengers: Age of Ultron takes place, and you see in the background on the television screens that some of the video is from Age of Ultron specifically. So they think that part of this is
interesting.
he's going to end up in that scene of Age of Ultron.
That would be dope.
And apparently the bad
That's
guy,
exciting.
apparently the
That's fun.
that is fun. Apparently the bad guy is Cassandra Kane, I think is what her name is. She's Professor X's twin sister, whom he killed in the womb because she was evil, and she wants to basically
Okay.
destroy. The theory is that she wants to destroy the X-Men timeline, the Fox X-Men's timeline.
Hmm.
I still
Interesting.
think because apparently one of the rumors was that Dreadpool was going to show up. So I still think that it's gonna because and apparently there's all sorts of rumors that and we've seen through um some of set leaks that there's but I don't know if they're actual Deadpool variants or if they're just stunt people. But like there's been like hints that Lady Pool is gonna show up and Dogpool they've said that Dogpool is gonna be there, um, and that the kid who plays young Ryan Reynolds in the Adam Project might be he might be Kid Pool.
So what's funny about that is if that's true, those characters are all going to die because in the comics,
That's what I was
one
gonna say is
one of the more recent comics, yeah, they all like there was this whole war between Dreadpool got all the bad versions of
yeah
Deadpool, and the main Deadpool got all the good ones and stuff. There was this war where they were all fighting and stuff, and they
yeah
killed. Oh, and so now in the comics, the only Deadpool which exists is the main
the
one.
main one yeah
So that wouldn't surprise me if they go that route in this, and then they do that, and it'll be like our version of like Ryan Reynolds' version is the only Deadpool in all of the multiverse,
I think so yeah
and
I think
that'll be the joke.
that's a theory. I don't know if it's gonna be a major plot of the movie. Like I think maybe yeah. She might be like, "Oh, I got my own Deadpool," and it'll be like a bad Deadpool. I think in some capacity, yeah, we're gonna get even in like an off reference of that. I think that may happen.
What I would like them to do is is if there's two variations which I think would be funny. One, like where she's like, "Yeah, I got my own Deadpool," and it's the one from X-Men Origins. Uh,
That'd be funny.
I think that would be funny, but they've already done jokes about that. But no, if she was like, "I got the Deadpool from our universe, and he's the one that's from the mainline MCU universe, and he dies at the end of it, and the Fox one, our version, takes his place."
Oh well, I'm still not. I think that the Deadpool that we see in the trailer, I don't think that that's the Fox Deadpool. I really don't. I think that that's going to turn out to be a different Deadpool from a different universe, and I think that's everyone's like, oh, it's because all those people are alive because of the
The time travel
yeah,
stuff.
because of the time travel stuff. I don't think that's the case. I think this is a Deadpool from a universe where they didn't die because someone pointed out that in that scene there are characters from that are missing, like Weasel, T.J. Miller's character, and yeah, there's a few characters that are missing. So I think that it's going to be that he's not actually the Deadpool from the previous movies. I don't think that
Maybe, but I mean, to be fair, that trailer can also just be cut where those characters are there and we just don't see them.
deceptively, yeah, they could be. Another interesting thing is that when you see there's a shot of Wolverine from behind where um, he's wearing a suit, a white suit, and some people think that's another variant of Wolverine, and that at one point before the strike, before the writer's strike and the actor strike kicked in, right before it happened, they had announced that I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they announced that Daniel Radcliffe had signed on in a mystery role.
Huh.
Um, in fact, hold on. Hold on.
I mean, it wouldn't if the entire thing of this
Hold
movie
on.
is that like they're bringing in the TVA and so they've got all these alternate timelines. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if over the course of this movie we got a few different versions of Deadpool, we got a few different versions of Wolverine. Like if they really leaned hard into this like that aspect of things, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Um,
I don't know about you.
yeah, no, I see. It just says reportedly, so there's nothing confirmed. But it was right before they went on strike. Yeah, and people think that he's gonna be basically that version that we see from behind. That's Daniel Radcliffe.
That'll be that'll be the MCU version.
Well, I don't think it's the I don't necessarily think it's the MCU version. I don't think we're gonna see the MCU version in it. But no, the theory is that yeah, Daniel Radcliffe is in this movie as a Wolverine variant, just for this movie, just because of the joke that of the fan casting joke, how everyone fan casts Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. He's gonna be in as a Wolverine variant. And some people think that that might be it. That might be the Daniel Radcliffe variant. Then there's other people who say that that's definitely the. There was a name for him, a variant called Patch. They say it's Patch. But then there's another one that says, yeah, that's the MCU Wolverine that we're seeing. That they secretly cast him and that's him. I think it's probably the Daniel Radcliffe thing because I think it's just going to be one off visual gag that it's Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine and then that'll be it.
I mean, could do both. They could have a scene where there's like 5 or 6 different variants, and one of the variants is the one that'll be the real one, and they just won't say which until the actual movie that he's in comes out.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, as much as it would be funny to have Deadpool be like, hey, "This is your guy. This is the guy you gotta," and then
I think it would be more funny if they had like just a bunch of variants and they don't say which one is the real one, and then we find out 5 years from now when the like his movie comes out, and we're like, oh my god, it's him. He was in the Deadpool
I mean
movie,
that'd be
and he
fun,
was one of the
but
variants.
it would also be fun to have it where Hugh Jackman gets to be like, "You're the new guy now," and then shakes his hand, and then it's like, "You're Wolverine now.
That would
Bye."
that that would be fun, but I'm just saying from a meta sense and in a Deadpool breaking the fourth wall sense, it would be fun to be
I
surprised in
also,
that way.
I mean, as much fun. I mean, it's coming. Inevitably, it's coming. He's gonna make a joke about how he saves him from the end of Logan. I just would prefer that they don't go that direction for how they like. It's not like oh, Deadpool goes into the future and saves Wolverine from dying because how it should have ended did that and it's been done. Like and I
Yeah.
know Ryan Reynolds. Ryan
No,
Reynolds is well
I would
credited for
say just
that.
don't. I would say just don't touch that one.
I mean, make a joke about it, obviously, but like, just don't be like have it where it's like he shows up at the funeral. Although apparently, the girl who played X-23, the girl, is reportedly in it. So
I mean, the only way that I would do it is like, I I would have it be where like maybe near the end or whatever Deadpool's like I have one last thing I have to do. I have to go back to the future, and it has the stinger from Back to the da 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 da, and then Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds, not Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is like no, like don't no
well,
no.
I mean, in Logan, it is sort of implied because it's the girls reading the comics and they're all wearing like comic accurate costumes in it, and he's all like, "Don't believe everything you read in comic books or whatever." But I mean, I could see them going in the direction of, "No, man, they did at one point wear those costumes, and he's in fact the Wolverine that will go on to become the version of him that's in Logan." But I just kind of hope not. I like the idea that he's from a completely separate universe and he's just a completely different version of Wolverine. That's cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's weird because yeah, people pointed out that the tagline is "Everyone deserves a happy ending," and they think that's in reference to Wolverine. And I don't know. I'm just they keep saying they're not going to undercut Logan, but I really hope that they don't.
I hope they don't either.
But with that, I think that's going to conclude the news. Oh, actually, no, we'll do the. I promised the Lindsay Lohan bit. Lindsay Lohan's dad has said that he feels that Lindsay Lohan's performance in The Parent Trap was Oscar worthy. The only thing I have to say about that is I had no idea that she was one person for the bulk of my life. So the performances are believable. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
I mean, yeah, I think that I don't know about Oscar worthy, but I definitely think that the fact that she pulled the weight of two characters, and I didn't, yeah, for the longest time know that she was
Most
two or one person.
Yeah, most of my life I had no idea it wasn't until like I was a teenager. It's like, oh shit, she's one person. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
definitely speaks to a level of quality for sure.
And it's funny because it's gonna tie into Jack and Jill, where I talk about it's believable when she talks to herself. She believed that she's two separate people having a conversation, and that,
Yeah.
as it turns out, is remarkably difficult. Um, But with that, that will conclude the news segment for today. And with that, we move, as always, into the sponsorship section of the show, which today we are once again sponsored by TrophySmack.com. Now, Jordan, let me ask you a question. Okay,
All right.
I'm gonna paint a scenario for you, Jordan. Let's say you have a kid. All right.
Right.
Let's say that
Right.
kid he's playing basketball. Okay, with his little
All right.
teammate. Let's say his team. Let's say they're the bottom of the league. Let's say they're not very good, but you want to give them a trophy anyway. Where could people go?
Would you call them the losers?
No, 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 no. You give them a trophy that says they're just as much a winner. People might call those participation trophies, Jordan. But you want to get them a nice, sweet participation trophy. Where could you get such a participation trophy?
Well, you could use our link, which will be in the description below, and you can go to trophysmack.com, where they have not only trophy toppers of any variety, but they also have custom engraved belts, rings, they have wall art. They have so much there for just about anything.
And also, they don't just make participation trophies. If you have a fantasy sport league, they're the number one provider of fantasy sport league trophies. They also do corporate trophies. They got belts. If you want a belt that's massively comically gigantic that says I'm the best, trophysmack.com. That's the place to go. And also make sure you use our link, because if you use our link, not only do you help the show, but you also let them know that we sent you and you help them as well. So please go to the link in the description below to select trophysmack.com. And hopefully, when we thank trophysmack.com at the end of the episode, we won't get the name wrong again. Trophysmack.com. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show.
Okay, it's time for book reports. And as is the new tradition, we begin book reports with, and I've decided to add an addendum to Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is now exclusively reserved for the stuff you've seen, because I'm not
That makes
repeating
sense.
I'm not repeating the mistake I made last week. So it's just for stuff you've seen that you don't really have much to say, and you just want to say a few quick things about it. And you may go first. Let's start this off with, we will each say, I guess, which actor we picked, and then we can go through some rapid fire. So, who did you pick, Jordan?
I mean, I had no choice. I had to pick Robin Williams. He's my favorite actor. Uh, so I picked Robin Williams. Who did you pick?
I picked the Sandman himself. I picked Adam Sandler, and man, we're gonna talk about Adam Sandler. Um, do you want to wait till after rapid fire to talk about them as a whole, or do you want to just rapid?
Yeah, we'll rapid fire through some of their movies, and then we'll kind of go into them as a whole more. And then we'll do our picks.
Here's what I will say up top about Adam Sandler is, man, he has a varied career, and there's gonna be some themes. Real quick, before I talk about Adam Sandler, I have to, and before we do this rapid fire, I have to talk about my three favorite actors in Adam Sandler movies. They're in every Adam Sandler movie. I looked up their names, but I can't remember what they are. Someone tell me what their names are in the comments. But they're in every single Adam Sandler movie, and their entire job is they are just in Adam Sandler movies. Like, they're his friend. Like, the one guy is his friend and his assistant, and he's just in Adam Sandler movies. And the one thing I'm gonna say above Adam Sandler, above all else, is I used to make fun of him for bringing to just making movies with his friends, and we're gonna talk about some of those. But it's kind of admirable when you stop and think about it, because, man, if I had enough money to just hire my friends to be in my stuff for the rest of my career, I would. If I could make an entire career of just being friends with someone who's famous, I would do it. I would let all my friends be famous for being friends with me. Like, I would do that. That's very admirable. But
I mean, it's got to be an amazing tax write-off,
yeah,
right? Like that's got to be
for
why he
for
does
your
it.
benefit, one of them is the guy you know him. He's always the guy who's cross-eyed.
Okay.
So he's in Grown Ups. He's one of the town bullies or whatever who they challenge to the basketball game.
Oh, is he the one who always talks like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy. Yeah, he has no formal acting training. He's just Adam Sandler's assistant and friend. He's been his friend for like 30 years, and he's only his entire filmography. It's two other guys, and like I said, there's some of the famous ones who pop up, and obviously we'll talk about them as well. But these guys are in nothing else. They're just in Adam Sandler movies, and I'm like,
That's
just the
funny.
idea that you hire your friends to do this, and then they'll just make royalties off of these movies for the rest of their lives. Like they now don't have to work because they're still gonna get royalties for residuals, I should say, from Little Nicky from like 30 years ago, and all they had to do was be some stoner guy for like a couple of weeks. Like that's a
For an yeah.
sweet, it's a sweet fucking gig. And yeah, man, as much as
I would love
I
that.
would do that in a heartbeat for any friend and family member out there. I always make this promise. If I ever did become famous, I need an entourage. I will pay you to just be my friend. If I had the money, I would pay every single person to be my friend, and I wouldn't even feel
Joke's
like
on you. I'd do it for free.
I mean, there are some people who say they do it for free, but I would pay you to be my friend, and I feel no shame about it. So let's launch into rapid fire. Jordan, you pick one first while I open up my notes.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Robin Williams movies, and I really had an issue nailing down the two that I've seen. So I went through a bunch of the classics. Of course, if I'm watching Robin Williams, I have to talk about Aladdin. It's my favorite movie. I love him in it. He is fantastic. They're all fans. It's great. I mean, it's cute.
It's a
It's
good.
problematic. It's problematic by today's standards. Every time I see the little blurb about like the warning that comes on before you watch it, I laugh and I'm like, I get it, but
Nobody ever
I
mentions the fact that Prince Ali owned slaves. I'm just putting that out there. Nobody ever
but
brings up the fact that Prince Ali owned slaves. I mean,
hey man,
the 2019
they liked it. It's okay,
the
Justin.
2019 movie did though because they cut that lyric out of the song. But prior to that point, nobody
Aw.
mentions it.
I mean, there's also in the very first song where they say, where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's
Yeah,
barbaric, but hey, it's home.
most DVD versions lose that lyric.
Um,
but
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 no, I mean, it is a great example of Robin Williams being able to bring this back to Robin
yeah.
Williams, being able to just show off his improvisational and his impressions.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I mean, there's a
that
reason he's known for
that
it.
movie influenced the very idea of voice acting in movies because, and we've talked about this before, um, that was the point where the star was the sell, the big celebrity voice. That was the start of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be like certified and like by the time Shrek was the big one, but Aladdin is where it starts. Like if you go back to we talked about Peanuts in the Peanuts cart, like Snoopy, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. The characters are in the opening credits. The actors are not. The actors are in the back half of the closing credits. So they're not even like how nowadays it's like the first thing you see is the actors. For Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, it's not like the animators, the directors, and all that. They all came first. So
Right.
like this is the moment where everyone an animated character is synonymous. He started that. That's how influential this character was for ill or nil, depending on your
On your point of
yeah.
view.
So my first rapid fire is we're gonna kind of lump them all together. I didn't watch them, but Hotel Transylvania.
Oh
That
yeah.
was that's it. And we're gonna talk about that 2010 run of shit-tacular movies he made. Um, that they pop up a few times. There's a run in 2008 where he became known as the guy who made bad shit comedies, and this was like, oh yeah, right. Adam Sandler is capable of making something that's good, and his animated affairs are generally pretty good. Inoffensive is usually the word I use. Like, the second
Right.
and third one are not great, and he's not in the fourth one. He's very
Yeah.
famously not in the fourth one. They tried to hide the fact that he wasn't in the fourth one. Um,
He was too good for the fourth one.
yeah, he's too good for the fourth one, rightfully so. Um, because the fourth one was bad. I've seen it. I don't even remember it. And then obviously I've talked about how much I like Leo. That was genuinely good. Yeah, he just he does his animated stuff is good. He puts the correct amount of energy to it. The emotion is good when it's it's sentimental when it needs to be, and it's just good. You next.
Um, I mean, again, another staple that I have to talk to, which, I mean, I personally resonated with this one as a young man, like a young person. Is and words is Mrs. Doubtfire. Um, there are very obvious reasons why that one resonated with me, being a child of divorce.
Yeah.
Um, and it's fascinating watching it as a kid versus watching it as an adult, because as a kid, like for me anyway, it very much felt like Robin Williams' character, he's the good guy. He's the one who was wronged in all of this. He's the perfectly reasonable parent who just wanted to do a nice thing for his kid and gets tossed out on his ass, and this other man who is moving in on his family, and like it really frames it like he's, but then as an adult I'm like, oh no, he's just as much of a problem, and he like to a harmful level moves in on this family and is obsessive, and like can't spend a moment away from it, and like this man, the stepdad or whatever, he does absolutely nothing wrong. He starts to date a single woman once
Yeah.
she is fully divorced, gets along great with her children, and is harassed by the ex-husband,
And it's funny because that movie very much
and
like
and and, and almost murdered by the ex-husband.
yeah. My the thing about Mrs. Doubtfire, like, as a kid, yeah, it was very much like, you side with the fun dad and you go against the mom who has to be the bad guy. But then it's like, oh yeah, no, fun dad isn't always great. As
Yeah,
an adult who grew up with that, it's like, yeah, he's also the problem. You just don't see it as a kid.
right.
Like
And so
the,
that's why I say it's fascinating to watch this
like
movie as an adult.
a good line in that movie that really represents what what it's like to be a kid in that situation is when Mara Wilson says we're his goddamn kids too, because it's like, yeah, you just see that mom has to be the bad guy. You don't get that he is a problem.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, is like the end of that movie is just like, oh, they don't point out all the reasons why he's a problem. It just hyper fixates on, oh, he's a guy in a dress. And it's like, no, I mean, there's so many other reasons why he's the problem before that.
right. And it's
Um,
just, yeah, it's a fascinating one to watch as
yeah.
an adult.
So next for me is, um, sorry, I'm just trying to decide if I want to. Yes, correct. The next one I have is Big Daddy, um, which is a funny movie to me because, the funniest part of it, one of the funnier parts of it was, um, it it opened. I watched it on Crave, and it opened with a warning where it was like, this film was presented as it was originally intended to be viewed. There are some elements in it that may have aged poorly. Please be aware of that. And I was like, really? This is the first one of these I've gotten on one of these movies. I wonder what it's for. And then almost immediately Rob Schneider shows up in brownface. It's like, oh, oh,
Yeah, that'll do it.
oh, oh, that's why. That's why.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah, that'll do
otherwise,
it.
it's not a very good movie. It's one of those, like, it tries to, it's what's the word? Um Sentimental, manipulative. It's emotionally manipulative, where it's like these really crass jokes with like really weird sentimental moments that don't really work. And it's quite a funny movie for me now, because the entire gag of it is, it's Adam Sandler as a dad. Adam Sandler can't be a dad. He's Adam Sandler. He's wacky. He's the Happy Gilmore Billy Madison guy. He's crazy. He's eccentric. And now, and we're gonna get into those later, the movies today are very much like, yeah, Adam Sandler's just a dad. He's just like
Yeah,
a dad. He's a dad now. He does dad stuff. He's bringing a real dad. So it's just very funny how it's like the entire gag of this doesn't work anymore. Because I'm like, yeah, no, I don't see Adam Sandler that way anymore. That's Big Daddy. Next.
fair.
That's all I had to say about that.
My next one is um another animated one, is Fern Gully. Sorry, my brain did a full circle there. Came back to it. Fern Gully, where his name is Batty, his behavior
Is
is
a
erratic.
ratty.
Um, and I mean, it really just shows off. It's another example where they've written a character which can show off his improv, where it's like he's got the antennae in his head, which allows them
Yeah.
to flip him between various impersonations and stuff like that. And I mean, it's a beautifully animated movie, just generally speaking. And I
Tim
think it's
Curry
a
with the toxic love.
oh, I love a good Tim Curry
Who
voice.
doesn't love a good Tim
Um,
Curry?
um, uh, and it's just it. I mean, it's a very environmentally heavy movie, but I argue even more nowadays we need more of those,
I
where
mean,
it's like
yeah.
it's fun and it's cute and it's like mostly harmless, but it's teaching kind of an important
It's
lesson
from
at the
that
same time
Captain Planet era of working environmentalism into yeah, man.
into the
They've been
lesson.
trying to
Yeah,
make Captain Planet for years, and I've been like, they really probably should.
yeah.
They don't do the
Um,
weird like he smokes and says curse words version that they were pitching that sounded awful.
no, let's not do that. But yeah, that's Ferngully.
Ferngully's funny because everyone thinks that Ferngully, Aladdin came first, and that Ferngully was knocking off Aladdin. But in fact, Ferngully comes first, and that was the movie he wanted to do. He didn't want to do Aladdin, and he yeah. So yeah, it's kind of amazing that Ferngully has disappeared to the annals of time, and Aladdin
Mm,
hasn't, because that's the one he actually cared about. Um,
yeah, I mean Disney had more money.
so we're gonna talk about. For me, my next one is Grown Ups.
Grown ups.
Grown Ups is funny because you watch it and it's literally just Adam Sandler turned to his friends and went, "You guys want to go hang out at a lake for 4th of July weekend, and we'll make a movie out of it, and you all can make some money, and we can all just hang out at a lake." There's so many scenes where it's just Adam Sandler, David Spade, Kevin Smith, Kevin James, and Chris Rock, and they're just sitting in chairs, just improving. Like if you said to me there probably wasn't a script for this, I would believe you, because it doesn't really look like there's a scene which like they literally go to a water park. It just seems like they all went, "Hey, you guys want to go to a water park for a day? We'll find an excuse to shoot a scene." And there's just literal scenes of them riding water slides, and it adds
That's
nothing
hilarious.
narratively to the movie. But it's just they're just hanging out at a water park. And there's a lot of funnier scenes where there's one early on where like they're breaking in real life. Like you see they're all laughing at each other, and um it's like you could tell like they're like genuinely laughing, and it kind of makes the movie fun, but it's not a good movie. And
That's
it's
funny.
in that run of 2010 bad movies where there's a point where Adam Sandler just gets mean. He's just mean. He's just mean to everybody, and he's a dick to everybody, and it's kind of wild because his career doesn't start there. His career starts where he's just a nice guy who's a moron. So it's just kind of interesting that like when he's at his absolute most oh, and this is also the point where all of his characters are rich. So like in this one, he's a Hollywood agent who's rich and a white guy, and he's paying for everything. It's like he's basically just Adam Sandler because he's rich and he's paying for all of his friends and family to do this. And he's just taking care of all of his friends and family. And I'm like,
Eh.
I'm pretty convinced this is just Adam Sandler. This character
So
is
he
just
just wasn't. He just
Adam
wasn't acting.
Sandler. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, I don't think any of the people in this movie were like the Rob Schneider's character is literally just named Rob. Like, they didn't even bother giving his character a name. So yeah, that's Grown Ups.
So my next one is we're gonna pivot from his comedies and his lighthearted ones. We're gonna talk about World's Greatest Dad,
That's
which
technically a comedy, isn't it? Isn't it a black comedy?
yeah, I mean, okay, I sure, but it is so if anyone's ever seen Dear Evan Hansen, This is very similar, but this came first and is better.
This is a significantly better version of that, and I say that as a lover of Dear Evan Hansen. That movie made me sad
Um,
because it was
but
terrible.
for those who haven't heard of this one, um, man has a shithead son. Shithead son dies due to circumstances that are not family friendly, and thus I will not be stating.
Autoerotic
Um,
asphyxiation. I did it. I did it.
and um, Robin Williams is embarrassed by it and writes a suicide note and stages the death in a more or less embarrassing way, and things go off the rails.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. He starts writing. He starts writing letters. I think is it no journals. Journals.
Diary, journal,
Journals. Yeah.
which he then turns into a book.
Yes. 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 And then it ends with you seeing Robin Williams' penis. So if you've ever wanted to see Robin Williams' penis, world's worst dad, best dad, world's
Yeah,
best dad.
world's greatest dad.
Yeah, world's greatest dad. If you've ever wondered, hey, I wonder what Robin Williams'
Um,
penis looks like, this is the movie to
yeah,
find
that
that
scene
out.
still makes no sense to me. But anyways, moving on. That's world's greatest dad.
That one was. Yeah, that one's. It's weird. That's a weird one.
It's a choice.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it really is. It's a better told version of. I want to say Jenny Nicholson has a really good video. It might have been someone else, but there's a really good internet video I saw, YouTube video, which basically compared the two and explained why Dear Evan Hansen doesn't work and why that one does work. And yeah, it's quite a good movie, totally worth watching. That's World's Greatest Dad for me. My next one is I made the wise choice to write them down so I wouldn't forget them. Um,
Yeah, I'm testing my memory today.
just go with it. Um, that's that. I don't have much to say on that one. That's other than it's again in that era of bad movies. That was the one where I've been watching them. I'm like, man, I remember hating his movies. What's happening? I'm liking a lot of his movies, and this was the one where I was like, there it is. There's the bad movie. But basically, he plays a guy who is a plastic surgeon who when he was younger, his wife he caught his wife saying that she was cheating on him to a bunch of her friends and making fun of the fact that he has a huge nose, a huge, because he's Jewish, a huge nose, and so
Okay, yeah, schnoz. Got
yeah,
it. Yeah,
and so he gets plastic surgery and he discovers that women are into him when they find out that he has a wife, like he has a wedding ring, and he tricks women into sleeping with him by being like, my wife treats me badly, and he meets this really
he
beautiful.
honeypots them.
Yeah, he meets this really beautiful woman who's like, I'm not gonna fall for that, and he's like, oh, well, I'm actually getting divorced this time, and so he has Jennifer Aniston pretend to be his wife, and he takes his and her kids to like Hawaii. They try to convince this woman that,
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
yeah, it's terrible. The worst part is the ending, where you know how like in these movies there's always that bit where like she finds out that he's been lying to her the whole time and she gets really mad and there's a all is lost moment. Well, it still has the all is lost moment, except for it doesn't have the moment where the girl finds out that he's been lying the whole time. It happens off screen, and then she just meets someone else and he's like, and she met someone else, and she, as far as I know, thinks that we were married. And then they get married at the end.
Okay.
It's really weird. He suffers no negative consequences for his behavior throughout that movie. It's totally bizarre.
That doesn't sound like a great
It's
resolution to the
no,
movie.
it's really not. It's terrible. That's
Um,
just go. The funniest bit is how the entire theme of the movie is that the daughter's an actor and she keeps going like, we gotta learn how to improv. We gotta improv this. We gotta make it. Just go with it. Just go with it. And so every time. And like Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston just to be like, all right, and then every time someone says something, they like yes and it immediately, and it's really funny. But it's a terrible
so
fucking movie.
I have two more rapid fires I want to do. First, we have Old Dogs,
No, yeah, that
which
one's fun. That
is Robin Williams. You got Seth Green. You've got
that's that part. That's part
the
of that.
other one, I know him.
John Travolta.
John Travolta. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was
Uh,
during that run where John Travolta was like, I'm gonna do weird family comedies because he did that, and then he also did Wild Hogs with Tim Allen.
I mean, it was also during the period of time where Robin Williams could do pretty much anything he wanted.
Pretty much, yeah, he did whatever he wanted.
But that was
No, I think
fun. Two business.
no,
Two,
that's post him doing shitty family comedies because that's after RV, I think.
yeah, I'm not sure. But two business partners. One of them finds out that he has kids. They have to look after the kids. It's cute. It's funny. It's got some genuinely funny moments in there. I really like that one. But that's old dogs.
Um, I've got so you have one more after this.
I have one more after this.
Okay. Then I will do two, and the last one I'm gonna do is gonna be a bit longish, but that's okay. Or do I just want to do one, and then you could do one, and then we can end it. Sorry, I've
It's your,
just
it's your call.
well, the next one's gonna be Wedding Singer. I watched Wedding Singer, and that's kind of where I was like, man, I remember all Adam Sandler movies. He's a fucking dick the whole time, and then he learns a lesson. That's the whole thing.
That's certainly one of his shticks.
And in this one, he's like, no, he's just a nice guy who gets screwed over by a bad woman. That's the one that has um. You've never seen Wedding Singer, right?
Don't think I have, but I
No.
know that at one point we had CDs
Yeah,
that had some of his songs.
one of the song at least. It was
Yeah,
somebody kill me, please.
yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
So you would know that. That's the movie that's from. That happens way later in the movie than I remembered. But yeah, no, it's funny. So those guys I mentioned, they're in all of these movies. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like they're his lawyer friends in Big Daddy. Like they're literally in all of these
I
movies.
remember the one guy. The one guy. He's in. He was in he's the football guy in Waterboy, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, that sounds familiar.
And then he's also in anger management. He's the sports guy. He
Yeah,
listens to the
yeah,
sports and stuff.
yeah.
So I definitely know one of the guys you're talking about.
Um, yeah, we'll do that last. How many? Sorry, before I wrap up this one, how many are you doing for your picked? Two each.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will do the last one as the end of this. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Your last one.
My last pick is simply guy. It's one that you're talking Robin Williams. It's one that I always needed an excuse to watch. It's Good Will Hunting.
Oh, that's a good
Um,
movie.
it is a very good movie, and I really enjoyed it. And Robin Williams, I can see why he won what he won as the supporting actor in
Yeah.
that one because
Oh yeah.
him as the therapist is just he's phenomenal.
That's one of those
It's
movies where you're like, there's no way this is as good as people say it is, and then you watch it and you're like, yeah, it is.
I see why it is
It's as
like
good
as
as people say
popular
it
as it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No wonder
Like I
Ben
get
Affleck
it.
is still coasting off of this movie.
I wanted to pick it as one of my picks, but unfortunately, it's just Robin Williams is a supporting actor in it. And I just didn't.
Yeah, he's not in it
It
a
had
ton.
to be. It had to be a short pick because I didn't have that much to say about it. But it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. It's definitely anyone who hasn't watched it. It's worth a watch.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It's the reason it's on a lot of top
but
10 best lists. And it's funny because for
but
me, I've talked about all the bad Adam Sandler movies. We haven't even talked about any of the good ones. We're getting to the good ones. Don't worry. Your thing has been like,
um,
yeah, this is a good movie, and I've been like, it's not a good
we're
movie.
balancing each other here. I'm talking about good. You're talking about bad. It works out. It's harmonious.
He doesn't. They're bad. They're bad movies.
But those are my rapid picks. I mean, let's be fair. I could go over dozens of other ones I've seen. I could talk about Flubber. I could talk about like there's so many Robin Williams movies, and there's so many of them are good.
There's
But I have to put a cap on this, or
there's
we could be here all
yeah,
day.
so many Robin Williams movies, but there's just not enough time. Um, so my last one is half of the Happy Madison title. It's Billy Madison. I finally finished Billy Madison, and this is where the question comes up for me before we jump into this. Before we jump into talk about Billy Madison, does it count as having seen it if you don't remember anything about it? Like you remember, you have a vague memory of watching it, but you don't remember anything about it, because that happened to me here, where
I,
it's like, I think I've seen this movie, but I'm not
I mean,
sure.
if you have actually seen it, like you know for a fact that you've seen it and you just don't remember anything, then yes, you have seen it. If you're only kind of like maybe I think I've watched this, then no, I would say you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't. I think I've seen it,
That would be my
but
judgment call.
but I do remember I tried watching it once because I was like, I need to. It was at my like peak. I hate Adam Sandler, and everything he makes is a slight towards me kind of phase. I was like, I need to watch Billy Madison to prove to myself that he was at least funny at one point. Um, and I watched 5 minutes of it, and I fucking hated it, and I turned it off immediately. I was like, I hate this, and when I put this on, I was like, yeah, I remember why. Because for the first 5-10 minutes of it, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's funny because you mentioned Waterboy. This is a similar vein of I can't tell if he's the movie can't decide if he's meant to have a mental handicap, if he's lazy, or if he's stupid because the character waffles between those like three states of being where sometimes he's babbling incoherently he's babbling incoherently like a simpleton, and then there's other times where he's like, yeah, he has emotional depth, and it's this movie more than any other of his movies. um oh, I sorry, George, you've never seen Billy Madison, right? I need to describe to
No.
you what Billy Madison is. Billy Madison is Adam Sandler is the son of a rich hotel magnate, and he's trying to determine who he's going to leave the company to, and Adam Sandler is Adam Sandler. He's a slacker fuck up. And
Okay.
like I said, they can't decide whether or not
This
he
sounds familiar.
and he has to basically um, go through elementary school and high school in order to prove that he's capable of taking over the company, and he gets 2 weeks per each class, per each grade, I should say.
Interesting.
And there's this really quite funny gag where every time he passes a grade, he has a party, like a really extravagant, elaborate party, and he invites the whole class and all of his friends, and he makes friends with all the kids throughout the movie, and he falls in love with one of the teachers, and the bad guy of the movie, he keeps coming to these parties, and he's like, is he gonna throw these parties every single time he does this? And he passes a grade, and the parties are more elaborate and more themed towards the grade he's in. And then he gets to high school, and high school fucking sucks. Like they're all awful and mean and horrible. It's like his first day, and he goes to like the third grade to visit all of his friends or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, how's high school?" And he's like, "Good, good. It's great. I'm having a great time. I'm learning a lot." And one kid's like, he's this like big fat, like this fat, like larger kid, is like, I can't wait to go to high school. And he snaps and he looks at me, grabs him by the shoulders, and he's like, no, no, you don't want to go to high school. You don't want to go to school. Stay here for as long as you can. Never leave. And Billy Madison, more than anything, to me, is a great commentary of Adam Sandler's um, career as a whole. Where like I wanted to hate that movie so badly. I went in that movie being like, I want to be like, it's unfunny and I don't get it and I never got it and he's no good and he's bad. But by the end of that movie, I fucking loved it. I'm like, that it's great. It's great. It's funny. He's irritating, but he mean like it's a funny movie. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I see, I get it, I understand, I see. Um, I understand why this launched him into stardom. This is basically his Ace Ventura. Like I get it. And
Right.
when we get to my final book report after we talk about Robin Williams in depth, I have an overall point to make about him. But that was Billy Madison. And with
Cool.
that ends rapid fire. Now into the main book reports proper. Let's start with, as always, the tradition is Jordan gets to go first. Jordan, what is your first one you have not? No, you have seen. So you have seen.
Have seen. First one that I have seen. So this was hard for me because, like I said during the rapid fire, he has so many movies that I like, and so I had to pick one of my favorites. So I picked RV.
Oh yeah,
Because
it's
that
fun.
one will always have a special place in my heart. Uh, just simply because of my like experience in watching it with family.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Very
but
family movie. Very good family movie.
uh, it's like it's got some genuinely funny moments in it when and Robin Williams like always gets to extend his comedic like his skills and he elevates what would otherwise be a very generic and very like bland movie
Yeah,
and makes it stronger than it would
and
otherwise be in
and
my
a
opinion.
lot. I mean, I've never heard a
That
person
that
say.
being that being said, um, I what's his name? Josh Hutchinson's character
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, he's
He's
probably, in my opinion, one of the most successful child actors I've ever seen because I don't think he went through a period of like he's one of the few who transitioned from child actor to fully competent and working adult actor, and like they're almost
yeah.
two separate people.
Also, I didn't realize until I kind of looked it up. The person who plays the daughter,
That's JoJo.
uh, she's your age.
She's my age. That I didn't know.
She's
I thought she was younger
she's
than
third.
me.
From what I remember when I looked it up, she's 33.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, she was quite a popular pop singer from Canada.
Yeah, she was born December 20th, 1990.
Oh, she's technically a few months younger than me, but that's interesting. But yeah,
Um,
she's quite a well-known Canadian singer.
um, so yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I mean, uh, I think that all the actors in it are fairly strong.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, there's so many funny moments in it. There's the when when they're in the RV and the Josh Hutchinson's character like time to break in the crapper and they're like it's not even like it's backed up and it's not even our waste and they have to go and change like get rid of it and stuff and Josh Hutchinson's character is like can I come and Rob Williams is all like not only can you come you can change you can dump the dump and I'm watching and I'm like oh gee thanks dad like that's it what every young boy wants
My
and
favorite.
then the poo geyser.
The
Oh, the poo geyser.
guys.
So funny. So funny. I love the movie.
My one of my favorite moments from that movie is because everyone's been there when he's up all night and he goes to get in the car to drive and he does that.
Duh, 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 duh.
We've all done it with the eyes closed. We've all done it. We've all done it.
Oh yeah,
We've all done it. We've
absolutely.
all been there. Yeah, yeah, really great. That one's good.
Um,
Yeah, that one's fun. If you're a big like yeah, if you're RVing at all, like it's like there's so many little things in that movie. Now that I've done a bunch of RVing, it's like yeah, that's funny. Those are small jokes
yeah.
that you don't appreciate unless it's an activity you do.
Forgive my youthful ignorance, but don't you have to plug the big rolling turd into the electricity before the TV will work?
I remember that. I remember that from when I yeah when we went. It was like a great deal of time trying to figure out how hookups work.
Right.
That's funny. Um,
Um, but
anything
no,
else?
it's definitely one that holds a special place in my heart.
Absolutely.
Um, uh,
Anything
I
interesting
think
about RV?
I'm just kind of trying to look to see if anything stands out.
Because you know what, maybe the actual book report should be more detailed than rapid fire. Again, lessons we learned from last week.
Uh,
I,
apparently it did
we're not gonna.
apparently it did principal photography in Vancouver and southern Alberta.
Oh, interesting. We're not going to recap RV. RV's plot very basically is they go on an RV trip. Robin Williams needs to go to a certain place for his job, so he takes his family on an RV vacation, and shenanigans ensue. It's called RV. What did you think it was about?
It got a Golden Raspberry Award.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that it reviewed poorly, but that like there's certain movies where it's like you got to take it for what it is. It's a dumb family comedy. They're not making high art. It's probably the poo guys are usually poo jokes. Don't critics don't love poo jokes.
Apparently it was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who he made the Men in Black movies. Didn't know
Interesting,
that.
interesting. But is that
Also, he did the 1991 Adams Family and Adams Family Values.
so? Is that everything on RV?
I think so.
All right.
I think so. Number one.
Next one you had seen. Number two.
Next one. Next one that I've seen, I have a lot more to say about. Um, so Robin Williams is pretty much very well known for his comedy abilities and his improv abilities. And so a lot of the times that energy that he's known for is driven outwards. Like that's kind of the staple. But every now and then you get a few of his movies where he takes that energy and he directs that inwards. And one of those movies is called 1 Hour Photo.
Oh,
Now,
1 hour photo.
for
So
those
good.
youngins in the audience who don't know, once upon a time, cameras had a little thing called film. And when you needed to have that film developed, you had to take it to a store and have it developed in a photo lab. This movie takes that place in, that's kind of the point, is it's about Robin Williams' character who develops an unhealthy obsession over the years with this one family who comes to his like the store that he works at to get their photos developed all the time, and he turns into a stalker. We're not even gonna mince words here. Um, he is a full-on stalker. For over the years, he has been creating doubles of all of their photos. He has a wall in his apartment which just is full of their photos. Like it is a psychological thriller. It is.
It's a
Oh
real good
man,
commentary on parasocial relationships too when you think about it, because he's developed the pre-internet version of a parasocial relationship with these people where he thinks he knows them but he doesn't know them.
yeah. And he has this idea of what their perfect family is because he sees them
Yeah.
through the pictures. It's pretty much like, yeah, like if a person was obsessed with you on Facebook.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
this is pre-Facebook, so yeah, yeah. So 2001, I think, right?
this came out in 2002.
2002. I was 1 year off, but yeah. So this is pre-Facebook. So yeah, this is what yeah, assuming something about a person's life, which he does, right? He assumes they have a perfect life based upon their photos, and they obviously don't. They're human. They're flawed. You know.
Um, And one of the other things that I really love about like that this movie does is the outfits and the hair and everything like that has to do with Robin Williams characters. He is designed in this movie to blend into the
Yeah.
background. That's supposed to be the idea of his character
Yep.
is he could just be like an everyman. He's anybody. He blends in. He doesn't stand
And
out.
the
Uh,
the grocery store is meant to represent, or is meant to look like a sort of purgatory, is the idea, like a sort of
yeah.
neutral kind of place. And
And so as I'm watching this the other night, like there's a point where like my eyes literally like unfocused and I kind of stopped seeing him and just saw the
yeah,
background, which is the intent.
yeah, and when
Um
he's with the family, it's brighter colored, and obviously at the end of the movie, when he's confronting the husband, it's really dark. Color is used excellent. The cinematography in this movie is phenomenal. It's so good.
and it got a lot of accolades.
Oh
It
yeah,
was a very well received movie, especially Robin Williams in it for doing a role that was very much against what he normally does.
it was, but it
Um
was during that period of time when every comedic actor goes through this, where they decide they want to do serious shit. So he did this, and I always bring up Insomnia, but he just and Insomnia around the same time, and I think it's one of those, like, I don't think he got nominated, but it was one of those, they were talking about it for him. He got snubbed for this, I
he
think.
got he got the Saturn Award for Best Actor because of this.
Yeah, but there were talks that he should have got the Oscar, or at least he should have been nominated for the Oscar, and he didn't, and I think it
Uh,
was a snub situation.
all I know is that he got the Saturn Award for Best Actor.
Um,
Um, the film was apparently a commercial success.
yeah, yeah,
It got 52.2 million against a 12 million budget.
that was one of those ones. There's a series of movies that I
Wow.
rented from the library, and this is one of them. That I couldn't believe they let me rent this from the library. I didn't even get this from Rogers back in the day. I got this from the library. This is Swim Fan. Couldn't believe they let
Really?
yeah. Couldn't believe they let people rent, like, cause I think I was a kid. I could just go up and rent it. There was no ID checking at the library. You could rent R-rated movies. It's great.
Um, apparently, apparently Trent Reznor, the band of the band Nine Inch Nails, was originally asked to compose the film's score.
Ooh, that would have been good. His scores are good. He did I mean, he does a lot of David Fincher movies, but one you would know specifically is he did the music for The Social Network.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So, okay. Apparently, I'm just sorry. I'm reading the wiki and I'm learning some interesting stuff that I didn't know about this movie. In accordance with the photography themed movie, the names of several characters are drawn from actual photographers. Sai's assistant at Save Mart, Yoshi Araki, was named for Nobu Yoshi Araki. Or the manager Bill Owens was named for Bill Owens. Uh, Vander Zee, Detective Vander Zee was named after James Vander Zee. Detective Outerbridge was named for Paul Outerbridge. Maya Bunsen, who is the person that the husband has an affair with, is named after Nancy Bunsen. And Save Mart customers Mrs. Von Unworth is named after Ellen Von Unworth. And Mr. Siskind is named after Aaron Siskind.
Huh. Interesting.
Um, So that's
Interesting.
funny. In one of the voiceover pieces, Sai can be heard to say, "They actually believe that any idiot that attends a 2-day seminar can master the art of making beautiful prints in less than an hour. But of course, like most things, there's far more to it than meets the eye." Williams prepared for the role by training for 2.5 days in a Southern California development lab.
That's hilarious.
Uh,
I mean, he's both wrong and right. Yes, you can learn it, but no, there is a technique to it. Trust me, there is. It's hard. Just the sheer amount of fucked up pictures I have from my
um,
photography class could tell you that.
So in the DVD commentary, Romanek says that Jack Nicholson was first approached to play the lead character. Nicholson turned down the role because he thought the character was too similar for the role he played in The Shining.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't. I don't know that I agree with that, but I
That's
I just don't
that's
think it.
that's
It wouldn't
that's
have had
interesting
the.
to me.
It wouldn't have had the same impact with Jack Nicholson. It would have been.
No, I can't picture this with him.
I can, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't have been. It works because it goes against type. If it's just a guy who you know can do creepy, then it doesn't really work.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Where it's like you look at Rob Williams and I don't see that creepy, but now in
No,
this I do, and
he
that's kind of what makes it special.
he completely disappears into that role, and that was kind of the like, oh yeah, shit, he's a good actor kind of moments with him.
Right? Right? So yeah, that's 1 hour photo.
Now,
For
uh,
those of you who for those of you youngins who don't know much about the olden days of photo technology,
ye
I highly recommend you go back and you watch this one.
ye olde. What's next? See, we're on to the stuff you hadn't seen. What's the first one you
We
didn't
are
see?
now we are now on to the ones that I haven't seen. So we have to go back to the early days of his
Of your.
filmography where, well, let's just do it, Justin. Good Vietnam.
I'm almost entirely positive you peaked your mic and cut out there. So people heard exactly half of that, but that's good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Oh God.
Today, today we're gonna do some Vietnam ASMR. Okay, no, sorry. Uh, um, so that movie was definitely a good chunk of it. So I mean, it's a classic. I feel like I shouldn't need to explain what it is, but Rob Williams gets hired to go to Vietnam and basically be their PR like voice person.
They're radio announcer. They do basic radio. I mean they do radio.
They
They do a version of
they
radio.
they do
But
they
they're
do
supposed
they
to just
know.
do announcements. That's the gag.
Well, it's I mean no, it's more it's supposed to be propaganda because he's not allowed, like he's censored. He's not allowed to tell the truth about what's going on in Vietnam. It's supposed to downplay the war
Yeah,
and make it seem like they're
but also in
doing
terms
the
of its
good.
function in Vietnam, it's a radio station that the soldiers would listen to in their trucks and shit. And he would be like, he would say stuff about coordinates, and they would play music and stuff. It was kind of like a DJ, but it was a radio station that was controlled and monitored. But it was basically like he's a radio DJ.
Um, but so I definitely fully would say and I would believe that any of the scenes where he's in front of the mic, they just said go, Robin.
Oh, for
Like
sure,
just
for
just
sure.
just go because it's a lot of it is just him
Here's my
improving. Like
question
if
though. about
If
it.
you want to see his ability as an improv artist, definitely
Oh
go
yeah,
watch this
I
movie.
mean any of his stand up will do that. But
Yeah.
how does it become a Vietnam movie? In the sense that
So you're gonna have to quantify what you mean by that.
well, every Vietnam movie at a certain point, they all start in the same way. They all start, isn't Vietnam awesome and isn't it fun to go to war? And then like towards the end, it's like Vietnam is not awesome. Stuff happened there, man. We had a bad time. We don't want to talk about it. Like any movie that's about
Yeah,
Vietnam is that way.
there's definitely elements of that. So
Like I don't know much about.
it goes there and like he goes to places that are controlled by them basically a lot, right?
Yeah,
And over the course of it, he gets tired of being censored. And so there's a couple points where and basically the lieutenant or whatever, the sergeant, whatever the military one, whatever he is, who's in charge of the station, doesn't like Robin Williams' character because he won't basically because he won't do what the fuck he's told.
yeah,
And so there's one point. Meanwhile, Robin Williams has made friends with some Vietnam people. Um, and there's the one who he's trying to woo basically and get. I mean, it starts off with he just wants to bed her, but by the end, I think he genuinely cares for her. And her brother is his friend and he gets really close with them and yada yada yada, and you find out at the end that the brother that he was good, like that he was friends with, is actually one of the I'm gonna fuck this up, Viet Congs, via
yeah,
the enemies.
yeah. Viet Cong, I
um
think is that's. I'm pretty
Viet
sure that's right.
Cong, and he was
Apologies if
using
that's
Robin.
derogatory, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I think that's what it is. And he's using Robin Williams' character to basically do terrorist stuff, and Robin Williams' character is pissed. And the general that doesn't like Robin Williams' character is like, "Yeah, we found out that you're friends with like one of the enemies, a traitor, basically. Um, you're out of here. Like this is what I'm using to get you out of here."
Yeah.
And that's how the movie ends. Is Robin Williams' character gets shipped out, and the war continues. Also, at that point, in the point of the movie, Richard Nixon is vice president.
Oh, gotcha.
He's not president yet. Um,
Yeah,
so it's very much still because Vietnam War went on for like 10 years or something
something
like
like that.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's basically like the 1970s equivalent to Afghanistan, a purely useless and pointless fucking war that went nowhere. But
but
to get political,
um, uh, yeah, no. Overall, I mean, it's enjoyable. It's I definitely see why it launched him into stardom.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, it definitely a good chunk of it is is him improving.
Yeah, because the funny is when it comes to Vietnam, um,
He
I,
won a Golden Globe for it.
I didn't learn I didn't learn anything from it in Canadian history class. It was mostly like, yeah, we won World War One, we won World War Two, Vietnam happened, and then the rest. Like it's always like, and what I gathered from these movies is bad shit happened in Vietnam that America is not ready to deal with. Wasn't ready to deal with when these movies came out anyway. Bad stuff happened there. It was a bad
I
time
mean,
for everyone.
it was essentially a Cold War between America and Russia, and it was used as the like as a staging ground,
Yeah.
basically.
Every movie I've
Um,
ever seen about Vietnam is like, we did bad shit. Bad shit happened to us. It was bad for everybody.
Apparently, this movie is loosely based on the experiences of AFRS
Yeah.
radio DJ Adrian
Yeah,
Cronauer.
it's based on a real story. Yeah. Yeah, I knew that.
Um, but yeah, no,
That's Good Morning Vietnam.
yeah, it's Good Morning Vietnam. I mean, it's got uh, apparently it had a production budget of 13 million, and Williams was paid less than 2 million.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's like his second movie, like his second starring role in a movie. Like
I think so, yeah.
he really wanted to be taken seriously, and so that he didn't care. He just wanted to be in something because yeah, this falls Popeye, which apparently is bad. I've never seen it.
But yeah, no, that's Good Morning Vietnam. Good movie.
All right.
Definitely see why it got the accolades that it got.
What is your second Robin Williams movie that you had not seen?
Toys.
Yeah, okay, so tell me about Toys. What is that movie about? I'm fascinated. I literally have no idea what that movie's about.
It's there's a lot of things that I could compare it to. In certain ways, it reminds me of Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah, I've seen clips from it. I
Um,
could see why you would say that.
but it also, in certain ways, reminds me of Toy Soldiers.
Interesting. That movie,
Um,
as a fun fact, is the reason why Robin Williams fell out with Disney because he didn't want. That was the movie he gave a shit about. That's why he didn't want to be part of the marketing because he didn't want the Aladdin to overshadow toys, which is what ended up happening.
um, so okay, we start off with the dad. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do a cold notes version of this. Dad owns toy factory. Dad is dying. Dad doesn't believe that son or daughter is capable of taking over business. Dad brings in, I think it's his brother or their, yeah, I think it's his brother. Because there's one of the characters is their cousin. But he's a general, and so he's like basically, I'm gonna give you, you have to take over. Because I don't think my children are ready for it. And he does, and he comes in and he starts making war toys and like is using video games to try and train up kids. So, okay, basically, the general plan, as I understand it, is make war games, war video games, have kids play war video games, but the war video games are just to train them so that we can have them secretly fly drones and machines and stuff, but they think they're playing a game and killing bases and doing and like
Oh, so
basically becoming
it's Ender's
a
Game.
secret yeah,
It's
basically.
Ender's Game.
um Essentially, yeah. uh and and but then the Robin Williams and them are like, no, it's a fucking toy factory, you fucking insane person. Like, they don't swear, obviously,
So Robin
but
Williams is the son who doesn't deserve to get the toy
he,
factory.
he's the son that the dad didn't think was mature enough to run the toy factory.
Gotcha.
And the kind of the
He's Willy
point of it
Wonka
is like,
basically.
yeah, he's the Willy Wonka that has to learn how to take over, and by the end of it, he takes over, and everything is
And
good
this is a
again.
family movie?
It's rated PG-13.
Huh. Huh. This sounds like
So
it should be a
no,
children's movie.
I wouldn't consider it a children's movie, but that's where I say it reminds me of like a Toy Soldiers, where I wouldn't call that a kids movie per se,
Yeah.
but it's a family movie, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Older youth family, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a weird one. It was a box office failure
Yeah, oh
at
yeah.
its time of release, which I can see why it feels confused.
Yeah.
Is what I would say about it. Where
I think it was when it was pitched. I think it was like a weird absurd R-rated thing initially and then it got turned into a PG-13 thing.
I could see that.
I think.
Um,
That's what Robin
but
Williams signed on for.
it has
Like a demented Willy Wonka.
yeah. Well, that's where I say it definitely reminds me of Willy Wonka. But so the general, who I think again is the uncle or whatever. He's played by Michael Gambon.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was very distracting that Dumbledore was a general. Um and you it's got uh Joan Joan Cusack as Alsacia Zevo.
Oh yeah.
So the principal from School of Rock.
Sorry, keep talking. Just there's a noise behind me. It's very distracting.
And the one of the ones that as soon as I saw him, I was like,
Weird.
really? Is one of the soldiers is played by Jamie Foxx,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was distracting for me. Uh, that was kind of the more like the biggest of the famous people other than obviously Robin Williams, but uh apparently uh Italian designer Ferdinando Scarfiotti spent over a year designing the sets.
Wow. Man, it's a shame when like good movies uh when good movies put such effort in, and they wind up, you know what I mean? Like, it's always a shame when a movie that puts in that kind of effort. Uh,
Um, is not is yeah. Well, the other thing that's weird about it is it's got like it's a musical. It's got music scenes like they sing and stuff, and that's the other thing that was weird for me was okay. So when the movie starts up, I almost turned it off because I thought it was going to be a Christmas movie, and
that's
I didn't
funny.
want to watch a Christmas movie. Um, because it literally it starts off and it's like a Christmas like they're doing like this Christmas play or Christmas I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like this musical scene where they're doing like a stage thing and it's Christmas themed, and I'm like, is is this a Christmas movie? And then it ends in the same way where it also ends. What's wrong?
Oh, I thought I heard someone knocking.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, it's behind me. Never mind. Sorry, there's noise behind me. It's distracting. Go on.
Um, it ends in the same way where it's like it's this Christmas like musical play thing, and it's just it it doesn't really serve a purpose, and I don't know why it's there.
That's weird. It's like
Like,
it's a framing device that it takes place during Christmas.
yeah, I guess that's supposed to be, but no, it just starts with that and ends with that, and it feels like it's just there because it's a song.
Weird. Weird.
Like I just it yeah, it feels very yeah. Like the name of the song is "Winter Reveries." It's an excerpt from Tchaikovsky's Symphony Number One.
Oh yeah.
So it starts with that, and then it ends with the closing of the year slash happy workers, and it's yeah, it's got it's the same kind of song
Weird.
that it ends with, and it's just yeah, it's Christmassy, and I don't get it. It doesn't really seem to need to be there. And really, 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 interesting. Apparently, there is a video game based on the film. Toys Let the Toy Wars Begin in 1993 for the Super NES and Genesis.
Clearly they thought this movie was going to be a marketing, or
So yeah,
they were going to be able to
yeah, like
market the hell out of
they
it.
thought this was gonna be like a
Merchandising, merch.
Home Alone or
Yeah,
Charlie and the Chocolate
they
Factory or
clearly saw
yeah,
this to be way more merchandisable than it wound up being because it got decimated by Aladdin.
it was directed by Barry Levinson,
Yeah, yeah. This was a movie that
who
Robin Williams was passionate about. He wanted it. He wanted
who
it to do well.
also he also did Good Morning Vietnam
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
tie it full circle.
yeah.
But that is toys. It's weird. I'm not going to say it's bad necessarily. It's
Weird. I've heard
definitely
it's weird.
weird.
I've heard it's weird.
It deserves that description. But I mean, if you're ever looking to watch one of the more obscure Robin Williams movies, he fits this movie.
Yeah.
Like he belongs in this movie.
Well, yeah. It was
I
written for him.
believe that that character is absolutely him,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And this was a vehicle for him. It was made for him.
it's yeah,
So
it's a different one.
to wrap
So that's my toys.
to wrap up, do you have any final concluding thoughts about Robin Williams's filmography as a whole?
I think I just want to take a moment because he was taken before his time. He
Yeah.
really was. He is a once in a generation actor. He's a once in a generation person. Um, he is our like if there is a generation where the famous artist of that generation is Picasso or like Leonardo da Vinci or whatever, he is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is him.
Yeah. Very
He is a
talented.
person who will forever live on in the things that he put out, and the people, the lives that he's touched. I personally have never met a person that didn't like at least one of his movies.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that because there's lots of people who didn't like some of his. Like, there's lots of people who didn't like Old Dogs, for
I
example.
said I said that didn't like at least one of his
But
movies.
there's people
So
who
like they maybe didn't like Old Dogs, but they liked Aladdin.
but I would say that I've never met a person who didn't like him in the movies. He usually elevates the movie. I've never seen anyone be
Yeah.
like Robin Williams was bad in that movie. I've never heard anyone say that. But hey,
Yeah.
maybe someone will leave a comment like, is there a bad Robin Williams movie? Like, is there a movie where I should say, is there a movie that he's bad in? Like, because we talked about we're talking about Adam Sandler. That's coming up. There's movies he's bad in. So does that exist for Robin Williams? But with that, does that wrap up this week's Robin Williams report?
I think so. I mean, he's one of those actors where we could be here all day just talking about the stuff that he's been in, but it's a show and I have to share time.
The,
So,
let's talk.
with that, let's talk about Adam Sandler.
Let's talk about the Sandman, shall we? Okay, so by
Did he,
request,
Sandman. So Sandman, did he put you to sleep?
No. His movies are nice and digestible in the sense that they didn't pass the phone test, but they don't need to. So the two that I picked that we're going to be talking about in detail, one of which I was challenged to, one of which I was requested, one of which was asked of me, and we're going to start off. This is going to be a game of like worst to best, really. But we gotta talk about Jack and Jill, the culmination of that shitty run of 2010's movies I watched. It is awful. It is terrible. And it's so funny because I remember the number one thing I say about this movie all the time is we watched it for free and I wanted my money back. I watched it for free today and I wanted my money back. Okay, so for those of you who have been graced by not having to have seen Jack and Jill, very basically, it's about Adam Sandler, and he has a twin sister, who is also played by Adam Sandler. And the entire joke of the movie is that it's Adam Sandler in a dress. It's Adam Sandler in a
Man wears dress.
and for the purposes of the story of the movie, it doesn't need to be a woman. That character could just as easily be a male twin or a female sister that isn't a twin. There's no rhyme or reason for it to be a twin. It serves no purpose other than for him to do a silly voice and wear a dress. And then at the end, David Spade shows up in a dress and as a woman for no reason. It doesn't serve anything other than to be like, ha ha ha, it's a man in a dress. What is the point? And so all the scenes that he's in the sister with, none of them are fucking believable because he remember how I said Lindsay Lohan, it was believable that he's two people? Well, every single time he says a line, he goes, "Hi, Jill." "Hi, Jack." Pause. And he pauses for way too long because he's clearly being fed lines off screen of what the sister is saying. So he waits for an additional 10 to 15 seconds so they can stitch it together. And it's awful and terrible. The only good character in this movie is Al Pacino because he's putting 1,010% into whatever weird performance it is. But that character of Al Pacino, you could tell they just kind of went, we need to get an actor and a product. Oh yeah, the product placement in his movies are fucking weird. The Jack and Jill is a advertisement for Dunkin' Donuts. The whole thing is he's trying to get, and this is another one of those where Adam Sandler is rich and he's got a family that's rich and they all work for, and he's got a Mexican gardener who makes jokes and they all work for him and he's an ad executive and they're trying to get Al Pacino to do this commercial. And it's horrible. It's a horrible movie that's not funny. None of the jokes land. I don't get it. It's just horrendous. Just this horrendous fucking movie. Did I have anything else to say about?
I mean, I remember it being bad. That's my one memory of it, is just hating everything.
Yeah,
and being upset.
Adam Sandler
and
makes
anger.
Bad movies. He's a bad person. But there was one more point I had about it. Oh, there's a really weird running. Oh yeah, a lot of his movies have weird running jokes. There's a weird running joke where his adopted son from India, tapes stuff to himself.
A what?
He tapes stuff to himself, with tape. He takes stuff and he.
Okay, that's funny.
I guess. Um, and yeah, it's just really weird. Like, there's this framing device that they have that it's funny you mentioned weird framing devices. Like, there's this framing device where they are interviewing twins who have clearly not been told the movie that they're in. Like, they're all answering questions about their twins, and they've all clearly been told that they're in a documentary about twins. Like, they're not in an Adam Sandler movie because these little vignettes have nothing to do with the movie. Like, the movie's not even really about the fact that they're twins. She's just his annoying sister, and it does this thing where it wants you to think that Adam Sandler is being unreasonable, and he's an ass, but his sister is also unbearable, and you're like, it's not believable that these two, it's like the same issue I had with Billy Madison, where it's like, it's not believable that this person would wind up like this if he was in this environment. Like, it's not like he's acting as though he grew up in a completely different house. It doesn't make any sense. Like, we're not seeing enough of these characters as kids to really get them. It's just screamy, weird, like, voice Adam Sandler. It's like the worst. It's like, this is like the depths his movies sink to. That was Jack and Jill. Are you satisfied?
So on a scale of 1 to tortured, how tortured do you feel?
7. Like,
7?
it's bad. I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time, but I still hated it. I think it's because, and when I get to the end of this, I have an ultimate summation about Adam Sandler, that because I watched this last, maybe if I had watched it first, I might have hated it more, but I know his future and I know what's coming next. So there's good shit coming. And so it made it easy to get through. And so with that, the next one is Little Nicky that I had seen, because that was one of the first ones I watched. And the number one thing about Adam Sandler's terrible 2010 run of comedies, that includes Click, that includes all the bad ones that you know, Jack and Jill, That's My Boy, although I like That's My Boy. They're all so fucking late. Grown ups too. They're lazy, and they're no effort, and he's not putting in any effort, and he's just doing this for a paycheck. Like, he's produced it to make money, and there's just no energy or creativity or anything involved in this. And it's probably because he made one movie that got a little weird and was a huge swing, and everybody hated it, which is an absolute shame, because Little Nicky is honestly good. Like, I think it's a good movie. I think it's funny, and I think it's creative. And while I do think that there are perhaps there's occasional jokes in there that have aged badly, overall, you've never seen Little Nicky, right? I have to describe it to you.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm gonna need you to give me a little bit.
Little Nicky is Adam Sandler is the grandson of the devil, and his dad is the current reigning devil, and he's about to announce after 10,000 years that he's retiring and who he's going to give hell over to. And he announces that, not very similarly to Toys, that none of the sons are ready to take over as a leader of hell, and that he will remain the leader of hell for the next 10,000 years. And the two older brothers, who are like crazy and psychotic and evil, are pissed off, and they leave hell and decide that if they can't rule hell, that they will turn Earth into hell by tempting all of the humans into sinning, so that they get sent to hell when they die, and then killing all of them, so that there's a massive little, that basically, because they've gone through hell, it freezes up the portal to hell, so none of the souls can get into hell. And the dad starts to basically literally fall apart, and Little Nicky has to go to Earth and basically get the brothers and bring them back, capture them in a flask so he can bring them both through the portal at the same time, so it saves the dad. It saves the day, and it's him
Definitely doesn't sound like an Adam Sandler movie.
No, and it's very interesting. And that's one of those ones where he's doing a weird voice, like, release the love. And it's got Reese Witherspoon in it. It's got all of his friends in it, and yeah, it's just a really fun and clever and cute movie. That I was like, oh yeah, where's this creativity? Where is this sort of like, I want to do something. I want to do something interesting. I want to do something different. And yeah, his run of early stuff is like, they're all different from each other, and they're all like, yeah, he's just a nice guy. He's just a nice guy who's a little awkward. Whereas like the 2010 movies are like, he's an asshole. He's an asshole, and he's a dick to everyone. And all he does, he's unnecessarily cruel to his friends, and he's mean to everybody. And his jokes are so mean spirited. Whereas his early stuff is like, he's just a nice, decent guy who maybe is a little rough around the edges, but he means well. And that leads into the stuff I hadn't seen, which we've got quite a bit of. To start off with, we're going to start off with the comedies. Comedy I hadn't seen, which was I had never seen Happy Gilmore. I had never seen Happy Gilmore, and I quite enjoyed Happy Gilmore. And that was another one where he starts off, he's a complete dick, and he learns to be, you discover, oh, he's not actually a dick. It's because of his circumstances, the way he is, and yeah, it's about him. He wants to be a hockey player, but he's not good at anything that requires you to be a hockey player. So he's not good at skating. He's not good at shooting the puck. He's not good at any of that stuff. But he's really good at a slap shot. So he that was why I wanted to mention Happy Gilmore. So what's interesting about Happy Gilmore is Little Nicky is technically a sequel to Happy Gilmore, because there's a character in Happy Gilmore who is played by Carl Weathers, who is a professional golfer who never made it. And he is the one who trains Happy Gilmore to become a professional golfer. And he dies, and basically his whole thing is he was going to be a professional golfer, but this alligator ate his hand off. And towards the end of the movie, Happy Gilmore he captures the alligator, and he takes it to Carl Weathers. And he's like, look, I found the alligator. And it scares Carl Weathers, and he falls out of a window, and he dies. And so the final golf match is in his honor or whatever. Well, that character shows up in Little Nicky as Little Nicky's mom is an angel played by Reese Witherspoon, and he shows up as her dance instructor. And he's got this catchphrase, which I think might be a reference to Rocky, but I'm not sure. Where he's like, "It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips." He's in heaven in the second one, training his mom's dance instructor, basically. And,
that's funny.
And there's a really cute, I guess it must have been after he died, but there's a really cute reference to at the end of Little Nicky, it does a postscript for each of the characters, and it's like, oh, Nicky's mom went off, and her and the dad got back together very briefly, but they broke up, and she wound up with a new boyfriend, Chris Farley, because Chris Farley died and got into heaven. That's cute. That's a nice.
That's cute.
So Happy Gilmore. It's a fun. I enjoyed it. It was funny. The bit where he fights Bob Barker is hilarious, and it's like, he is funny. All of his movies are funny, and now
he has the capability of being funny.
Yeah, and now we get to talk about the whoa, that was that noise. Sorry. Now we get to talk about the dramas, the good stuff, the interesting stuff. To start off with, we're gonna start with Uncut Gems. And Uncut Gems is so fucking good. It's basically Adam Sandler. He's a jewel salesman named Howard Ratner, who is also a gambling addict. He's a gambling addict, and he has basically, through various means, bought this big piece of like pure diamond that he estimates is worth $1 million. And he's gonna give it to these people to auction. And he's gonna take a profit off of that. A certain basketball player whose name is unimportant shows up and sees it and immediately he shows it to him to kind of brag that he has it. And he's like, "Oh, can I have it off of you for the game? It's speaking to me. It's speaking to me. Like I need this. I need this gem basically." And so he gives him his ring. He's like a championship basketball player. Gives him his ring. And he can't get this gem. Most of the movies, he's trying to get this stupid gem back. And he's a dad. He's got a family, a wife, and a kid who he's on the verge of breaking up with. And he's got like this girlfriend in the city. And he's just this neurotic gambling addict like guy who just can't give up. At one point, he pawns the ring. He goes around town and he gets a bunch of money from a bunch of people to place a bet on this game, and he wins a bunch of money. And the guy who he bought money from as part of his brother-in-law. He wins a bunch of money. He's like, no, do you think I was gonna let you bet with my money? And like beats him up and stuff and strips him naked and leaves him in a trunk of his car. And then eventually he keeps trying to get the stone back from this basketball player, and he can't get it back. Eventually he gets it back, and he takes it to the to this auction. And because he doesn't have time to get it appraised by one of his guys, they appraise it, and they discover that instead of it being worth $1 million, that it's only worth $200,000. And he's like, he basically has his father-in-law try to like bet against the basketball player who wants it to inflate the price. And so he's betting against it, and he keeps trying to he wants to get it to 200, and it gets to 190, and the father-in-law ends up having to buy it. And so then he ends up selling it to the basketball player, and the entire time the basketball player's like, I want to buy it off you, and he's like, no, I don't, it's not for sale. So then he ends up selling it to the basketball player for $165,000, and that's about how much he owes this brother-in-law. And instead of giving it to him, because the whole point of the movie is he was never going to stop. Like, it didn't matter if he ever got enough money to pay this guy back. He was always going to gamble it away. He was always going to risk it. He was never going to do the right thing. So he takes the money
like a true true addict.
And so he takes the money, and he sneaks it to his girlfriend to take it to bet on this game. And there's all sorts of gambling lingo that I didn't understand. And the guys show up to get the money from him, and he's like, they're like, let us go get the girl and stop her and bring her back. And he locks him in a little office, and he bets it all on the game, and he wins $1 million. And they're basically like, they're really pissed off, whatever, in the thing. And they come out, and then immediately, because they've been trapped in there for like the length of a basketball game, out of frustration, shoot him in the head, and then shoot the brother-in-law who protests, and then rob him, and then leave. And the whole point of the movie is like, yeah, he was never going to stop. Like, it didn't matter. He had the money. He could have given it to him. He could have ended it, but he chose not to. He chose to keep taking the risk because that's what he's addicted to as a gambling addict. And it's just, it's one of those movies, like, he's so fucking good in it. He completely loses himself in the role. Like, it's one of those movies where I will recommend it. It's not my favorite Adam Sandler movie. I now officially have a favorite Adam Sandler movie. But yeah, that's Uncut Gems. Just such a good movie that, yeah, I believe it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, absolutely check it out. The next one.
So it sure sounds like he didn't know when to hold him, know when to fold him, or know when to walk away.
He certainly knew when to run, though. The next one is it's a movie called Hustle, and that's the one where I was like, it's funny to me that Big Daddy was like, oh, Adam Sandler is a dad, crazy. Because he's just straight up, in that movie, he's married to Queen Latifah. He's very happily married. He's not like going for a girl way too young for him. He's got a teenage daughter. And it's basically, this one's much easier to describe. He's a basketball recruiter for an NHL team, but he secretly wants to, not secretly, he wants to be a coach.
And NHL?
Not NHL.
National Hockey League?
No, sorry. NBA.
That doesn't sound. That doesn't sound right.
Not NHL. NBA. He wants to be. He works for. He's a recruiter.
We know sports balls.
We know sports balls, but he's a recruiter for the NBA, and he wants to be a coach. And so he ends up, while scouting for this team, meeting and running into this guy who's like a really good basketball player, like really good, and he basically trains him. And it's a typical sports movie. He trains him. There's ups, there's downs. And yeah, Adam Sandler is like, he's just, the thing about Uncut Gems, I love Uncut Gems, such a good movie, but it's like, he's acting, but he's doing a funny voice. And it's like, I like these movies so much. Like the Hustle, he's not putting on a funny voice. He is just Adam Sandler, but it's one of those, like, he's Adam Sandler in a way that he's just a guy. He's just a regular guy who means well, who wants to see this guy succeed. And he like, once again, disappears into this character where he just becomes this guy. This just regular, every guy who you're rooting for. You want him to succeed. Right. You want him to get, and when it gets to the end, yeah, you're like, for the first time in my life, I'm happy to see an Adam Sandler character succeed. Like, I was invested in him. He's so good. And once again, this is that run of movies he has on Netflix. And I wanted to go in and watch some of the bad ones because I've heard some of those Netflix movies are atrocious. Like, he's got The Ridiculous Six, or like The Do-Over, or There's one he did with Jennifer Aniston that I hear is awful, but it was so good. He's so good in it, and yeah, it's just nice to see him just be a regular guy. And then finally, my favorite Adam Sandler movie I've ever seen. It's a movie called Punch Drunk Love. It is so fucking good. I thought it was another sports one. I thought it was about a guy who got hit too much and he was a boxer and he was like a retired boxer or whatever, and it was like him. But no, basically, Adam Sandler plays a guy who has social anxiety. He has trouble talking to people. He lives alone. He doesn't. He has a business where he sells like novelty toilet items and like novelty memorabilia or whatever. That's reasonably successful, but not overly successful. And he's got a bunch of like overbearing sisters who are super mean to him. They're super awful. And he represses all of his like negative emotions all the time. And he's super anxious, super like, and it explodes out of him in fits of rage. So like his sisters will constantly pick on him, and then like at one point he kicks out of a sliding glass door because he just can't express his emotions. He just does it, and he goes back to being perfectly rational. He meets a woman who's friends with his sister, who he develops a relationship with, and it's really sweet. And he, in a fit of loneliness, he goes to his brother-in-law and asks him to find him a psychiatrist that he can talk to so he can work out these negative emotions. But instead, he winds up phoning a phone sex line, and the phone sex line ends up basically he gets scammed. It's like my worst nightmare. He gets scammed into giving them all of his information. He gives them his address, credit card information, all that stuff. And she ends up trying to extort him for money and blackmailing him. And she sends a bunch of guys after. Yeah, it's like my worst nightmare. And it's just like he slowly develops a relationship with this woman, and he slowly like opens up and becomes less anxious and becomes more like a regular person. And it's a very funny and cute movie. He's so good in it as this guy. And there's this really it made me realize what I want to see out of an Adam Sandler movie. I would love to see is him. I would love to see him do a dad action movie. You know what a dad action movie is?
One where he's a dad and it's an action movie.
No, it's a dad action movie is an action movie that your dad thinks is cool. So basically, like you're Taken, or like there's one called Nobody, where it's like, oh, what if your dad was actually secretly a badass?
So like a Jackie Chan Spy Next Door.
Yes, I like one of those, yeah. And because there's a really cool scene where the guys who are trying to extort him come after him, and he's finally had enough, and like they crash, and basically he phones them, and he's like, yeah, so this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna give me my money back. I'm going to we're gonna forget this ever happened, and we're gonna end this right now. Otherwise, I'm gonna phone the police. And they're like, fuck you, basically. And they show up and they like crash into his car and like try to take him out. And he gets out, he walks up and just very calmly starts beating the shit out of them with a tire iron. And it's super fucking badass. And I'm like, I would watch a whole movie where he plays a secret badass. Like, that is rad. And yeah, it was just so good. It was probably the first and only Adam Sandler movie I've ever related to. Like, he's such a relatable character. It's such a good performance. And the fact that he didn't get all these movies that are so good, the fact that he didn't get nominated for like any awards for them, except for that's not true. Uncut Gems, he won a Spirit Award, and it has one of my favorite speeches of all time, speeches of all time, where he's like basically like I just want to thank my fellow nominees, who will now forever be known as the guys who lost to Adam Sandler. I think that's funny. But no, they're just good movies. I'm sorry. So to wrap up Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is a very talented actor who makes bad movies. He is very good. He is the acting equivalent of when Doc Ock says that Peter Parker is brilliant but lazy. He is brilliant but lazy. He is a much better actor than his filmography would lead you to believe. Like, he can do so much better than what he did. Like, yeah, he is a gem, ironically, a gem that is like buried in mediocrity, and it's really great that he has had this like post career renaissance. And it's so funny because I wasn't expecting to say. I knew Robin Williams was a varied actor, and I knew that he had a varied filmography, but I wasn't expecting to say the same thing about Adam Sandler. They remind me of each other in a lot of ways, where it's like, yeah, they're both talented improvisers who are exceptionally talented dramatic actors who could have been pigeonholed but weren't.
Interesting. Interesting.
But with that, that was Pick an Actor. Let us know in the comments. Did you pick an actor? Which actor did you pick? Did you maybe figure out from the thumbnail that we had picked Robin Williams and Adam Sandler because there's references to them in the thumbnail, just so you know. But with that, we come to next week's assignment. What is next week's assignment? Jordan, you're probably wondering, the audience is probably wondering, next week's assignment is based on a true story. So I want you to pick movies that are based on a true story. That could be biopics. That could be based on a true story, but you're like, is it? Is it? This feels like it's not really. But so long as it in the credits of the movie says based on a true story or based on true events, it counts. So tune in next week for that. And then the following week, just to give you all a heads up, the following week is going to be our season finale. Next week is the penultimate. Week after that, season finale. And then we will be off for at least 1 week, maybe 2. I don't know yet, but we will be off for a week. That episode, I'm going to give you the assignment 2 weeks in advance because I want some participation from the audience on this, I'm hoping. We're picking for each other. I'm picking for Jordan. Jordan's picking for me. I want to see some audience suggestions from people. Suggest some stuff that I should tell Jordan he should watch. I already have some ideas going around in the brain.
And more importantly, suggest stuff that you think that this one who's seen everything hasn't seen.
The only rule is it can't be gross. It can't involve any having relations with anyone against their will. And I don't mind if it's a little violent, but don't make it like it's disgusting. Like for example, I'm not gonna make Jordan watch Terrifier unless he chooses to watch Terrifier. Then we could talk about Terrifier. But I'm not gonna make him watch Terrifier or Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave or Caligula. No, we're not watching movies like that. No exploitation nonsense.
And I'm probably not gonna pick The Fly for him to watch.
Oh, The Fly. But that is next week. Until then, it's time to wrap up the show. Once again, we want to thank our sponsor of the episode, TrophySmack.com. Please go to our link in the description. Check them out. Thank you once again for sponsoring the episode and the show.
So say that again, Justin. Who was it? And we got it right this time. TrophySmack.com.
Yes.
Use our link.
As always, if you want to get in contact with the show, you can leave a comment, obviously, or you can email the show at itsjustinsbusiness.com. That's in the description, like always.
There's the Discord.
You can go to the Discord. That's also in the description. And you can follow me on TikTok. Please do. I do this, but shorter. Jordan, where can they find you?
Deathgore187, Twitch. I do Minecraft Mondays. If people start showing up again, maybe I'll do other days too.
Maybe they'll do other things as well. But until next